on air.
Yup.
All right, y'all. Here we go. Uh, Let me start off by saying, welcome, welcome
Appreciate it.
to
Thank
this Google Hangout. We finally got this mug up and going. Uh, uh, this this is Google Hangout number 5, right?
you.
Uh,
4 or 5 around there.
4 or 5. 4 or 5. It's one of them. Okay. Uh, yeah. Let me start off by. Um, Hold on. Now I'm trying to look for the link so I can embed that mug. It's crazy, man. And I'm live. Hold on. Ooh. There we go. Let me see. Oh, snap. Okay. All right, y'all. Let me start off by introducing every. First, let me do my pulpit etiquettes one more time. Again, better than that. I'd like to say welcome everyone to the producer convo. I'm your boy, more beats. Uh, it's been a minute since I did it. I want to say we're doing this by popular demand. People hit me up all the time about doing them again, and I just uh, I guess I didn't really have. I don't want to say I didn't have time to do it. I guess I don't know. I just wasn't doing them. But we back, and I want to introduce. I want to introduce producers that I have with me. First off, let me introduce my homeboy, um, Omar Lewis. Omar is the editor and writer over at morphomobeats.com. He's a young producer from out of London, Canada. London, Toronto. Is it London, Canada?
London, Ontario, Canada.
London, Ontario, Canada. This dude here, this guy, he's been rocking with me for a minute, and I reached out to him to see if he would be down for uh, writing for the website. Man, he's been a major blessing. Actually, I just made him the editor of the website today. So I got Omar Lewis. Second person I got is my homeboy Israel Foster, Israel Music. Me and we go back a long time.
Yeah, bro.
A long time.
Before I got married.
Yeah.
Since I was a single man.
In our cross movement working days. Well,
Yeah.
in Israel, we kind of came in at the last tail end of cross movement.
Yep.
And then after that, it just and mug just went down the drain.
How you gonna do that? How you gonna do that to cross move, Marv?
And that's what really happened, bro. I mean, for real. That mug really happened, bro. I mean, but we had some good times. Me and Iz, in the midst of that, we had formed a good friendship outside of the music. Israel he's a music producer. He's a stellar award-winning producer. He's worked with Gang of Cats, The Truth, Jason. A gang of dudes. I can't even remember. He probably been working on a lot of bigger album projects than me. So I got my homeboy Israel Music, and this gentleman here, guy named Tory Hooks. Man, this brother here, me and him just connected just a couple of days, about a week ago, and this guy here, man, he's just he's a dope producer. He posted the song on his on SoundCloud, and man, oh man, when I tell you that this dude had a bang up there, man, I felt like a groupie, right? I was like
Groupie.
literally,
Whatever, Bar.
I was literally like emailing, like emailing this dude, uh, like man, yo, bro, this is gonna be dope. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, I just was, I guess I was just like, man, where this dude had been, you know? So messaged him on Facebook. No, yeah, on Facebook. He responded, and we just linked up from there, man. And come to find out, is him and Sharif connected?
Oh yeah, all dope. That's
Yeah,
dope.
man. They know family. They know each other's family and stuff. So you know, I just thought it would be a good thing to, you know, turn them on to Reef, introduce him, man. You know, and that's what it is, man. So we got my man Tory Hooks, and we're waiting on one more dude, my homeboy Nav. Nav has been producing longer than, well, he's been around in the biz for a minute. When Cross Movement was a Cross Movement, that's when he was doing a lot of work with him. He was just second half of So Hot production with JR, and Nav is he's a producer engineer. Actually, he runs a website called the Beat Lounge, and yeah, so we're waiting on him to come in and be a part of the the convo. So without further ado, what I did too, y'all, if y'all can, if you guys can multitask and go to the website, it's actually is actually showing live under Morph TV under producer convo. And if y'all can go in, you know, just to tweet that out, just say, hey, come and join in with the convo that we got going. It'll be greatly appreciated. I know, like my homeboy Daniel Steele, he been waiting for a hot minute, man. He probably so I want to get that going to him real quick. All right. So with that being said, what we talking about tonight is, and we're gonna probably just elaborate on it. We're not gonna, you know, burn it out, but just talking about. Well, let me say this. Omar, he posted an article on pirating crack software, and he did the video, and I mean, when he did the write up, I said, man, okay. When he finished, I said, let's put it up right now. Put that mug up. We started, and then what we did, we started talking. We started in the forum. Man, before you know it, bro, man, we had gang of people just coming in. You know, we was putting the word out, of course. You know, but dudes would, you know, chiming in and stuff about it. So let's just talk about that a little bit. You know, just about using crack software. I start off. I'll be first to say that I have used illegal software due to a couple of friends of mine, you know, emailing it to me. I think as time has went on, you know, I try to just whatever I have and what I've purchased, I just try to use that, you know. But man, you know, I've been in conversations where, you know, some dudes don't think it's an issue. You know what I'm saying? Using illegal software. I guess we're gonna just open it up and just talk about it. What you guys think? I mean, what's y'all take on that? Let me start off with what you is, so we can go ahead and get you out the way. Uh, I know we was talking a while back and you said, man, people pay for you to talk about it because you worked at Sweetwater. I forgot to add that Israel works at Sweetwater, so for any producers that may be checking this out, and you want software stuff, Israel is the guy to contact. Actually, I need to put his stuff up. I need to put his information up on the website. Omar, if you can remind me to do that, I will get that up and going, brother.
Yeah,
All
man.
right.
But but go ahead, Iz, and let's talk about it. What's your take on
I mean, it's my take is plain and simple. It's not really elaborate or anything like that. Romans says that we should obey the governing authorities because the governing authorities have been put in place by God. And fortunately, the governing authorities in this country of the United States have this thing called copyright protection, and it's actually illegal to parrot. So I think at that point it's the end of the
that?
conversation. I don't I don't
Okay.
I don't even think it's a conversation, me personally, but you know, that's my stance on it. At one point, I think everybody, if you've been born past 1985, and you use software, I think everyone has used illegal software at one point or another. But as Paul says, in the scriptures when he was writing the epistles, he says to Corinthians, he's like, how long do I have to give you guys milk? Like y'all gotta grow up to get to meat. I should be teaching y'all about these more complex things. Y'all still on milk. So I think in the same way, as younger believers and also maybe just younger producers, you don't have money to really afford these things. And I don't think I'm not condoning it at any stage in your walk or producer expertise. But what I am saying is like everyone has done it. I think at a certain point, we have to grow past that and we have to just say, hey, look, it's actually illegal to do this according to the governing authorities. And Romans says that we need to obey the governing authorities whether we like it or not. So we have to. I think that it's unbiblical to do that. Not only according to Romans, but James says that a worker is worth his wages. Actually, Proverbs says that you don't want to muzzle the ox. So in my opinion, if you don't have the money to pay for something, do it yourself. If you don't want to pay a man for his work, build it yourself. Spend the hours and the years that these guys take to make their own software. It's like, man, I can't afford EQs. You know what? Read a C++ book and build your own EQ. And he's like, well, I don't have time to do that. Well, that's why this guy is actually charging you because it takes time to do it. And working at Sweetwater, I'll say this last thing. Working at Sweetwater has given me even more rooted in my position on this because I actually meet the manufacturers. Like the guy, IK Multimedia, a huge company. They make sample tank. They make a tons of stuff. Not met. We chop it up. He's a black dude. Not that it has anything to do with it, but it's not too many brothers on this side. So I'm having lunch with him,
Right.
and it's like these are real people. And when you pirate their software, that guy loses his job because he's not making enough sales. So the IK Multimedia say, hey, you're our rep for Sweetwater. Sweetwater's not making enough sales, so we don't need you any longer. Now, how can I go to that man and say, man, you know what? Your company is great and all, but you don't deserve to feed your kids. So you're going to lose your job because I want to download your software. I don't think that's fair to him. And I also don't think it's fair that guys who, it's kind of ironic because the same guys who download software, those are the same guys who charge for their beats and get mad when somebody ripped their MP3 off of SoundCloud. Kind of funny, but that's my take on it, man.
That's real, bro.
That's
100.
that's my stance on it. Like I said, I don't like to talk about it too much because, generally speaking, I have never it's kind of like speaking with, and I don't want to get too religious, but or biblical, but if we Christians, we gotta keep it firm. It's just like talking to like a Jehovah's Witness, you know, or someone who's completely opposite faith. Like we're not gonna, either one of us, neither one of us are gonna convince each other at this doorstep. You came knocking at my door. I'm not gonna convince you in this 5 minute conversation, and you're not gonna convince me. We're only gonna, you know, be more firm in our own positions. So that's why I don't like to talk about
Right.
this unless it's like face to face with someone, because then it's like we can actually sit down and you can say what you say and I can say what I say. And I was gonna post on the forums, man. But like I said, Marv, social media is just not the place to talk about certain topics, you know. And I think this is a deep
Yeah.
topic. This is a better environment because you can actually talk. So anyway, I'm done. That's my 10 cents.
Okay. Omar, since you wrote the article, go ahead and give your spill on it, you know, for those that may have not actually read it, because we've talked about it, you know, but I mean, give your spill on it.
Well, to be honest, I kind of I'm drawing a blank here of what I wrote in the article, but basically it's like I think I started off with something like uh, that piracy has always kind of existed in a way, but when the internet came, like that just became global because I think back in the day, like you can get certain like just like as an example, you can get like a new artist like album for like $5, $10 or whatever, but it would be like obviously pirated. It would be of a lower quality, but because you wanted it that bad, like you would go and get it. You would go and pick it up. But with the internet coming into play, like in the mid '90s, like having that capability to do that, or the means to do that, and making that global, that just shut the game down in terms of maybe an artist making money off the record sales and whatnot, you know. So I think I can
Right.
continue. I think I continue on in saying that, like, how does that look like today? You know, with people who are making music, and I totally agree with what Iz was saying about how, as believers, you know, I don't think I don't think it comes to a point where like you can get too biblical or religious or nothing like that, because you know we try to follow God in that way, you know. The
Right.
Bible is the like our map to life, basically. So in that sense, like no, and everything what Iz was saying, like I totally agree. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's people like if you make a product like and you're trying to sell it, you know what I'm saying? You should get your money's worth because of what the product is. You know what I'm saying? What piracy is, though, to put it a little plain and blunt, it's like I were to go to like a dollar store, get a bag of chips, grab it and walk out. And just because I have the ability to do that, I'll do it. That's kind of how piracy is, and that's what any forms of media, you know, music, movies, anything. So, but in this case, I feel like there is a big gray area, only because it's like, excuse me, um, like Iz was saying, like I think everybody's guilty of using pirated software. I still kind of use it, you know, like certain VSTs and all that, right? But I think I think it's okay when you start out, because like let's be honest, like a lot of times, like you know, the latest VST or at least quality VSTs or any type of gear in that kind of way is actually expensive, or it all depends on where you're from or whatever, right? But I think as you grow in with your talent and whatnot, like when you get to the point where you can actually afford it, like you should be paying for it, because this is right. Like, how are you just gonna tell the man that you know develops the software that puts time in, so he can make a profit off the product and be like, yo, like, I'm sorry, like you can't work here anymore, like you're done, you know? So
Right.
with that being said, it's like, again, there's a big gray area, and what I find, what a lot of companies are doing too is that as opposed to, you know, kind of just letting the product go in that way, they're like, all right, how can we draw the consumer in so they're more enticed or they're more likely to buy our product? So then, like in my case, yo, what happened to Tori?
I'm not sure. Oh,
Yo,
okay.
Tori, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, my bad. Like for example, with Fruity Loops, right? I'm a FL Studio guy. Um, you can you can get the FL Studio as a demo for free on their site. So they at least give you the opportunity to kind of test the product out, and if you like it, well, you can go ahead and buy it now that you know what it is and whatnot. Even when you do buy it, you still got to get the demo version of it, and then you get to install all this other stuff or whatever. But that goes again with like any other product as well. Like let's say if you were to get the latest MPC or machine, you know, it's like, oh, buy this and then you get this. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's how I feel about it. Um, unfortunately, that's the climate we're in. You know, that's just how it is now. But yeah, I think like when we get to the point of, you know, where we can purchase like our gear, we should be doing that.
That was
Hello?
Nab on the phone. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say like that's how I feel about it. So I'm with Iz and everything he's saying. That's just how I feel. Like, you know, that's, you know, my spiel.
Yeah. Okay. Come on. All right. What they do? All right. My kid's going to was crashing out. All right. Good night. All right. What was it do?
It's all good, Marv.
Yeah. Amen. All right. I'm sorry about that, man. My kid's getting ready to crash. All right. All right, Tori, you real quick, man. I got Nab trying to get in, so that's what that's why I'm fidgeting. But Tori, what's your take on it, bro? I kind of already knew what is and Omar thought about it, but me just meeting you, what's your take on it, bro?
You know, being a, you know, that term is try before you buy. You know, we've all seen that. I know for years I have tried and have never bought. and so, and so, you know, you got all these VSTs, you know, you got all these content libraries, you know, all these things that come out and, you know, they're interesting. And, but what I found out, and I think probably in the last year, I want to say, I just stopped. Because what happens is you find out that you got everything, and also too, you get to a point where your production isn't as good as it was if you owned it and bought it with all your hard-earned money. And I think Iz put it right, man. You know, when you meet these guys that actually are sales rep for them, you know, your heart kind of looks at a totally different. I know I would, man. Just even I put when you said that, is like my mind instantly went into like just, man, imagining me at work meeting these guys that hard-earned money, you know, that they got a family to take care of, and you know, us over here ripping software because it's so easy to do. You know what I mean? You can torrent, you can get it from this share site, you know, all those things. And it's like, man, like you dudes really have to eat off of this stuff. And so I think really when I stopped was when I started seeing guys making a lot of drum kits. And, you know, seeing a lot of guys making drum kits. I mean, these dudes is like really sound designing these. And that right there, I think, was a kicker for me because like I said, over time, you know, we do these things, and you know, some people think it's cool, you know, some people don't think it's not. But I think as you mature, you see that, hey, man, these guys, and I know I wouldn't want nobody ripping my stuff off, you know, so why should I continually, you know, rip their things off too, man? So I'm definitely in agreement with all you guys, man. So that's my take on it too.
Okay.
I think
I think Omar's still in there. I think.
we lost Omar. Did we leave? Oh, well, there's Nab.
Okay, Nab joined. Okay, there go Nab. All right. You in there?
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you, bro.
Can y'all see me?
Nope.
We can see a picture with you styling the profile.
Hold on. Let me see if I can.
That pretty boy pic.
There you go. Dang, that's not it. That's not the right one. Let me see how I can do this.
Almost.
What's going on, fellas? My bad. My phone kind of like froze on me or something. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Dang, yeah. I need to pick a different camera. All this technology.
All right, Nab. Yeah. All right, well, Nab, we talking about okay, Tori. Okay, Tori. I noticed that happens a lot.
My bad.
Somebody bounce out, somebody popping in, somebody get kicked out. But Nab, we talking about the crack software thing. I know when I texted you, you was like, "Oh, that again."
Right.
And you know, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I feel what you're saying. I know it can be one of those conversations like, "Oh man, we talking about it again." But you know, it is one of those. It is one of those things where it's a situation. You know. Just real quick now before we move on, what's your thoughts about crack software?
I think so. I would probably say the right Christian thing to say. Like, no, honestly, for real though, I definitely think crack software is whack. As far as it being a person's go-to thing to do all the time, I think all of us probably, you know what I'm saying, on this call at some point has used crack software. But I'm just a believer in once you know what you got and it's a tool that you're gonna use, just invest in it. Because I know, like, I started off buying stuff. Like, I didn't get into crack software until like Pro Tools forced me to get crack plugins because they was too expensive. But I started off, like, you know, on hardware, so I had to buy my MPC, I had to buy, you know, the Digio One and all that other stuff. And so, you know, when I switched over to the software side, like when I got into Reason, like this dude I know had Reason 3.0, like the full retail version, and I was still using like 2.5, like the adaptive version that came with Pro Tools. So he let me get it, and I put it on my computer and made some beats with it. But when Reason 4 came out, I went straight to Guitar Center and bought it, and I done bought all my stuff ever since. So, I mean, I guess I understand why people do it, but I just think it shouldn't be a long-term solution or solution at all, for real. Like, if you can afford to buy the tools that you use to make your craft with, you should buy it for sure. Because I mean, we are artists and producers and stuff. It's like when we make products, we want people to buy it. We don't, you know, all of us probably complain like about sites like Kazaa and Napster and all these other sites that were just downloading stuff for free. You know what I mean? Now I understand like what mainstream artists talk about, like how they can't sell records because there's too many server sharing sites that, you know what I'm saying, get rid of their stuff. So I get it. You know, I get why people do it.
Let me interject. Let me interject and say this. Now, as all of us being believers, right? Would you still have the same stance if you wasn't a believer, or if you wasn't working at Sweetwater?
I mean, if I wasn't a believer, period, like all things believers are do are like not even ordinance with the Bible. So they I mean, they don't have no standard. So I mean, that's why you see, like, you know, not to rag on dudes or chicks like that, but that's why you see a lot of men and a lot of women with a lot of kids by different people, because they don't have a standard and like they don't live by the law of the Bible. So if I was an unbeliever, I wouldn't think twice about crack software. I'd be like, yo, let me get that Logic. I ain't got $3.99. You got it? Great. Let's go make some music. I got believers that I still bang with like that, and that's how they get down. They hit me up all the time like, yo, let me get that Auto-Tune, or yo, let me get that Nexus, or blah, blah, blah. Real talk, my crack software that I had, that's how I got a lot of that stuff. They would just give it to me.
Yeah.
Right. All right, well, let me ask you this. What about... Is you taking pictures now?
Hey man, I'm trying to get this camera to work.
I'm trying to get
My bad, bro.
Well, let me ask you, what you think about? No, you good, bro. No one you can hear. So, I mean, what you think about? Okay, if a homeboy give you software, you know what I'm saying. Now, what if now this may be very shallow, but what if it's a software? What if it's a copy of his software? I mean, how do you feel about that?
If it's a copy of his,
Yeah. I mean, and that's open for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just say for instance, like if well, for instance, a partner of mine, when I first started, I started on Reasons 3. He had a fresh copy of Reason 3. He gave me a copy, but he said, "Yo, look, here's my serial number. Just don't register." You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think because I've actually done that, like with probably somebody y'all know, and I ain't gonna say no names, but
yeah,
a real somebody that made a hit record with that mug. So I ain't gonna say that. But I think, I mean, same thing, man. I think if it's something you're gonna use. Like, first of all, me personally, I'm not giving my serial number to nobody. Like, I don't care who it is, friend or not. Like if you can come over my house all day and use it all day long. I've done that, like I said, with somebody, and people have done it with me. Like my stance is pretty much the same. Like with me personally, if it's something that I know that I'm gonna use, and it's a tool that I use, and it helps me do what I need to do, then I'm gonna just flat out buy it. Like, how would I feel if my homeboy gave me his stuff? Yeah. I mean, on the flip side, I'm thinking like a producer, so the immediate reaction is like, "Thanks, homie." You know what I'm saying? But
right.
In reality, once I get it and I know that I'm sticking with it and I'm gonna use it, I'm gonna go buy it, just like I did with Reason. Like, cause that guy that gave me that Reason 3, he did just that. He gave me the whole Reason 3 joint. He gave me the serial number, you know, and all that stuff. And he was like, "You can use it as long as you want to." And so when Reason 4 came out a couple months later, like I went straight bought it and gave him his 3 back. So. You know, like the whole issue with crack software, man, like I get why dudes do it, like because the main issue is money. Like I don't got enough money to blah blah blah. My advice now versus when I was a young man, I would have been like, "Hey, I ain't got the money, let me get that." And I had homies that would just wheel and deal. Like I had everything. Like when me and JR first started So Hot, it didn't nothing we didn't have. Like we had everything. I mean, I bought the main rig, the Pro Tools rig, but like all them plugins and VSTs and stuff, like we had everything. So, but like now, you know, I don't even get my stuff away to cats like that because I pay for it. You know what I'm saying? And it's too valuable to me to just give away. Like because I you know, working a regular 9 to 5, I spent a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? A lot of time. So you don't just give stuff away like that.
Yeah.
Right. I got you. Okay. That's one of the conversations that can keep going on.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of, you know, on the same playing field that, you know, we get it starting out, you know, using it, you know, you'd be lying to say that you haven't.
Yeah.
But you know, once you come up, you know what I'm saying? Once you come up to, you know,
so here's
get to that point where
here's the $1 million question. How many of y'all still got crack stuff on y'all computers?
I believe all of us do.
I think we all do.
Yeah, for sure.
0. I got.
But you know what? But yeah, well, see, Israel, he get them the major discounts at Sweetwater. But I will say this: I probably got some, but this is the thing, I don't even use them.
I was going to say
the same thing, bro.
Yeah, I don't use like all the stuff that I use. I bought like with UAD plugins and stuff like that. You can't crack that. Like so, you got to buy that. You know what I mean? And like software, I mix all inside of Logic, and I use all the real UAD SSL plugins and all the Neve stuff that come with it. Like so, I bought all that stuff. It was I got 2 DSP cards inside of my computer, and them joints was not cheap. So even if you could crack it, like cats ain't getting that. Like we gonna have a talk and be like, "Hey, let me show you where to go to buy it."
So. Well, check this out though. Let's push it a little bit further though too, because you could also, let's just put it out there.
Oh man, I missed it. What'd he say? He froze.
Yeah, I didn't get it either.
Oh, and so let's say if maybe one of your friends has like, hey, I got the new ADO, action strings, or I got the new
Hey, Tori.
what's up?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, repeat that again because you froze up a little bit.
Okay, I'm sorry, bro. What I was saying is that as far as VSTs, how do we feel about maybe sharing, or maybe a friend of ours who gave us like a contact library, you know what I mean, or from like Native Instruments, from companies like ADO. It's all type of libraries out there, and the only thing you gotta have is the contact, player itself. You know what I mean, the full. So it's like you can buy, like, because I bought the contact VST, but also too I do have some libraries that I have gotten from friends and stuff like that. So would that be in the same lines, or because that's kind of like a thin line. That's really a gray area.
Yeah, cause it's yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's a real gray area. That ain't
Well,
no like.
I would say, me personally, man, I would say, like, for me, it's not really gray. Because if you look on the website, if you go to ADO's website right now,
Yeah.
you look up the amount of users one license can hold. It's clear as day. It says that you can't do that. Like that's what it says on their website. Like that's not allowed. So my thing is when you make a product, that's the dope thing about making anything. You can make the rules. They're the ones that make the rules that says this is not right. Now they can't obviously prevent you, but if they're making the product and that okay, because like Studio One, for instance, Studio One is like you can buy one license and you can have a multiple computers. Whereas different manufacturers, they may say like you own one license and you can't even put it on different computers.
Right.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it's like if you look at the softwares, every manufacturer from Native Instruments to Avid to Universal Audio, BrainWorks, any one of these manufacturers that make plugins, they also have this is called a user agreement. And before you actually start your software, you click that little box that says I agree. Every one of them says that only one user can use these, and you cannot pass it on to someone else. So at that point, I think for me, the question is, do I want to essentially lie to the company and say I agree, yet do something else?
Yeah.
Or not? I mean, that's just me. Like my thing is, like I said, after meeting these guys, I just think that it's not fair to those guys who spend. I mean, these dudes are smart dudes. It's not like they just sit behind Photoshop all day and design these plugins and make it look beautiful for us.
Yeah.
These dudes are like PhDs in physics and mathematics. Like they pay a lot of money to go to school to learn how to do this stuff. And sit there and be like, man, I know you got $1,000 a month loan bill for learning how to do this, but I ain't paying that. I ain't helping you pay that, dog. Like
You could compare that to like.
I feel you, bro. That's real, man. I feel you on that, man.
I feel them. I think that's how we feel about music, though, and I think we probably should treat it the same way. Like in regards to the sound libraries, though, like me over the years, like I've just accumulated so many sounds. Like I ain't even lie, I can't tell you where half of them came from. Like every album, every MPC, like known to man, and I still got all my drum sounds from that, and I don't know where a lot of that stuff come from now. Like VSTs and stuff, I don't use a lot of VSTs anyway, so and I don't like Contact, so I would never use anything from NI. But yeah, I feel you, man. It's all good, man. I've been an NI fan. I don't like Machine. I don't like none of that mess.
Well, you know what?
He's a Akai dude.
I don't like Machine, bro. Like I literally I got an MPD 16, which they don't even sell no more.
Yeah.
I put my machine down. I put my machine down to go back to my MIDI controller pad, bro. And it's just, I don't know if y'all can see it, but this is just this little bitty thing.
Oh,
and man, I love it. I love it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with you on the machine. I'm with you on the machine, but
this is what I went back to. You see this? This is what
Oh,
I
that's the
went to.
beach right there, homie.
That's what I went to right there.
What was that?
What's he
4,000?
The 4,000.
4,000. Yeah.
Oh, that's the
Yeah.
beach right there.
That's what I went to. At least for drums, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I feel you, man. I definitely feel Israel. Like these dudes, like they do. I actually had, I don't know why, it was some dude. I put together a sound library because you can't resell people's sounds. Basically, is what he's saying. Like, you can't. And so I put together some sounds. I had no idea that some of the sounds that he created was in this thing. Again, like I said, I got sounds from eons ago. I don't know where half of this stuff came from.
Mm-hmm.
But he hit me up literally, like he emailed me. And first of all, I was like, how does this dude get my email address? But he was like, he sent me
That was that kid you made.
He sent me the whole entire license agreement and said this sound is part of a Logic 7 kit, like blah 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 blah. And he was like, "You're not permitted to blah blah blah." I sent him an email back, was like, "Thanks, bro," and took that mother right down. Like,
Wow.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel it, because that stuff, man. I mean, I wouldn't want nobody to take my stuff, dog. Like, all of us like work extremely hard at what we do, and you know what I'm saying. Some of us are fortunate enough to feed our families, and you don't want to. You know what I mean? It's a moral thing, you know, even beyond being a believer. It's just it's just stealing, period. Like, so I don't like thieves or liars, so that's just me. So
yeah, man, that's where it boils down to me, man. Like you said, I mean, biblically, I think we have a standard. I think that's pretty clear, but it's like I said, we having this conversation about other people's art, but we don't want to have this conversation about our art.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we sit here and make art all day. We slave in the studio, and then we try to sell it to the artist, and the artist try to sell that to the fans and sell this. We don't want to have that conversation. We want dudes to pay us. But then how we go to the next man who does art and then tell him, like, yeah, I think your art is kind of a gray area. Like, what if one of y'all producers like, yo, how much for the beat? 400. I think that's a gray area right there. No, it's not a gray area. It's 400 or not. Like, you're not gonna have that debate.
Yeah.
So, like I said, man, I'm not sitting here saying like if you going to hell if you download it, nothing like that. I'm not saying that at all. Like I said, I started out, had all of the wave stuff, and all of that stuff. But here's where I'm gonna end at. And let it be known. This is my final position. I do think that it's sin because it's according to the rules of the government. It's piracy, and piracy is legal. And if you're doing something illegal, then that's sin. That's my personal take. But I say on the flip side, I haven't downloaded any illegal software, and it's been at least a decade at this point. But God has blessed me. So, and I say this not to brag, but I say this to really show the flip side, because we always talk about like, yeah, don't do it. But I don't think we really give light to how God honors that. And this is what I'm about to say. Every single software you see on Sweetwater.com, because I work for them, obviously, I have for free. So the $20,000 Vienna library, the crazy orchestral stuff, free is on my hard drive. Every native instrument library you see on our website is free. Every UAD plugin I have on my computer is free. Everything's free. So I'm not saying that like, yo, I'm the man. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is, after 10 years, I remember calling up the dude that led me to Christ, and I first heard of Vienna. If you haven't heard of Vienna, check them out.
Lord,
Hands down, like that stuff. So I was like, I was maybe 16, 17, dog, and I first heard of Vienna. I was like, yo, I'm going to get this Vienna stuff, man. I'm going to save up my $5,000, and my beat's going to be crazy. And I'm 28 now. Dog. I've been working at Sweetwater for 3 years. And tell me why I have every single library that they make over $30,000 for free. Right now, I can pull it up. So I say all that to say, if you do decide to stand firm and say, I'm not going to do this because morally I don't feel comfortable with it, I do think God will honor it, man. And I'm not saying that everyone will, as a result of not pirating, you're going to get a job and every software is going to come to you. But you'll see things flourish in your life in other ways, and that's my take, man. God honors those who honors Him. So
hey Marv, I think
there's truth in that, actually.
Israel, he just stunned on us. He shut us all down. Like, we should end this chat. Like,
oh, see, that's what I didn't want to happen, man.
I mean, his hard drive is probably like all our studios. I mean,
Nah,
let me get that. Let me.
Yeah, you know, some is I was gonna get your number, man, but I don't even know if I even want it now, man.
That happened, man. I tell you, bro, I really am not saying.
Talk, bro.
Yeah. I just wanted
I
to.
don't even install it all. Like, that's the thing about it. I haven't even installed all of this stuff because of what Nat was saying.
Now
earlier.
he's making it worse. It's worse.
It's sitting on the kitchen table.
I said I'm not gonna say this. I said I'm not gonna say this because I know dude's gonna clown. They think I'm trying to stunt, but I'm not. I'm trying to say God honors that.
No, I hear you, bro. That's real.
No, yeah, just to kind of like chime in. There actually is some truth to that because a guy that's been recognized that way in CCH or CHH, sorry, is Alex Medina. You can go up to Image Line, see he's like one of the power users of FL Studio, and he just flat out said like, hey, I was using a cracked version of FL Studio, but God, like, with His Spirit convicted me of doing such things, and then like look what happens now, like. You know, because he's purchased the software, he's now a power user, and then like, you know, working at Reach and stuff, like God will honor that, you know. So there is truth in that for real, like.
Yeah, it is. I agree with that. You know, actually, you know what, bro? You know, Alex, he originally wanted to be a part of this Google chat last year. When I told him what I was doing, he was like, "Bro, I would love to be a part of it." But I mean, he you know, he worked for Reach these days. He's kind of hard to get up with. I thought I had a working number on him, but I guess they must have got their numbers changed. But nevertheless, I am aware of that testimony at FLstudio.com. And man, you know, I think that's dope, bro. You know what I'm saying? Even being able to, you know, have integrity in such a way, you know. Yeah, I think, you know, yeah. I mean, we can go on and on and on, man. I think we all kind of at the same conclusion that, you know, once you can get up on your feet or whatever, or I don't even want to say once you get up on your feet, that, hey man, we serve a God that has 1,000 cattle on 1,000 hills. You know what I'm saying? And and if you don't have it, you know, He's giving you the gift and the ability to be able to create, if that's the case. So, you know, go for what you know.
Yeah, I think that's dope. I think two things. I think, especially if you're a believer, like if you can buy it, like you shouldn't even want a cracked version if you can buy it. I mean, that's just like. That's like saying I you know, I make enough money I can go buy groceries, but I'm gonna get on a food stamp WIC program just because I can get it at a you know what I'm saying? Like that's just whack for real.
Right.
But two, if you aren't able to buy it and you're a believer and you already have a cracked version, you need to have dudes around you that challenge you to buy the real version. And like I know for like at least within my industry, I never really had that problem because I like I said I started off buying everything. But I know like JR has bought every single thing that he used, and like he's one of these dudes who probably would have been dope for this chat because he's totally against cracked everything.
But look, and also to that point, look at where JR is. You can't name one Christian hip hop producer. Well, you probably could maybe on fingers. Who has been around as long as you and JR, so from the So Hot days. This dude's Grammy Award win. I mean, I just feel like God will honor that, man. Like
that's proof again. Yeah, most def.
Yeah, I think He will too. Like I think God honors all things good. I think He, like you said, like it's a sin because piracy is illegal, and the Bible tells us to obey the laws of the land. You know what I'm saying? That's against the law of the land. So it's it right. Is. So.
But you know what, and I guess to go to another point, man. It's I guess when you look at it from the world standpoint, they'll never get rid of piracy. They will never get rid of piracy, man. They don't have enough manpower to get rid of it, man. You know how many?
I don't think they want to.
How many? Well,
how so, Nav?
Deep down, I don't think they want to neither because I think the government has found a way to make some money off it.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
Truth be
okay.
told.
beyond just even making money off of it, like I think this is with anything, like anything that you want to kill, you have to have a reason to kill it. And so like if you want to get rid of a company like Napster from stealing stuff, you know, obviously your business isn't going to make money, so you put them out of business. You know what I'm saying? You buy up all they data servers and all of that stuff, and you put them out of business so you can continue to make money, essentially, you know what I'm saying, off providing backdoor access to other share sites. You know what I'm saying? So it's just,
Hmm.
I think it's with anything, man. I mean, we also, I mean, but the biblical aspect, I think we all get. You know, we got to keep in mind, like, this world is sinful, and so like mankind, you know, is always trying to scheme and always trying to find the next come up, you know what I'm saying? Like, how can I put somebody out of business so I can keep my business going? But I think things like piracy and all of that stuff, because look at what they did to Napster. Like, Napster got sued for all that money, and you couldn't stream stuff for free, but right after Napster, like 55 million of them Napster clones popped up. See what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Hmm.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, how does that happen? If you suing one, how does that many of them, you know what I'm saying? We still got them today, you know what I'm saying? Like Demonoid was one, and then you
Hmm.
had Mega Upload, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Places like they just was all over the place. So I have a hard time believing the government actually really want this thing to go away. I mean, you know, I
Right.
don't. I'm not a
And
conspiracy theorist.
and
Illuminati.
yeah, man. So let's go on to something else, man. How do you guys deal with producer block? 'Cause sometimes, man, me personally, sometimes I think what happens. I think if I have produced so much, well, let me say this. I remember after I worked on Swift album, and that's probably one of the biggest albums. Anthem is probably one of the big. I want to say, well, I want to say not the biggest, but it's the first album. It was the first album that I was able to hold down a lot of production on. I think after I came out of working on that album, like I couldn't make nothing. I couldn't make nothing else that didn't sound like Anthem after that.
Hmm.
Like all my beats was sounding like a beat that I did on Anthem for a long time. And now that's 2000, that was 2009. Well, no, I say this. A lot of stuff. I did a lot of work. I'm doing a lot of. I've been blessed to do a lot of production. This is a new album that's coming out soon. And I kind of went through that same thing, bro. Like for some reason, I couldn't get out. I couldn't get out of this mode that I was in after working on a whole bunch of stuff for Bizzle. And what I did, man, I just backed up. I just backed up off the music and just kind of refreshed. It's almost like how you kind of like have to defrag your computer and kind of
Hmm.
just mash it and put stuff back together. Like I literally had to stop producing for a while. Just maybe about 2-3 weeks. Literally about 2-3 weeks just to kind of refresh because I would try to come in here and fool with something, or I'd be in here falling asleep. I'd be slumped over my chair. My wife be like, "Wake up," you know what I'm saying? But I was in this blockage. But for me, I think what happened, I was able to kind of just chill out for a while and then come back to it. But that works for me. What are some things that work for you or for you guys? Or are you just that cold where you don't have if you that cold, let me get that let me get that secret. You know what I'm saying? But it can be real frustrating at times too.
Hmm.
Whoever wants to chime, you chime in, Tori.
Okay. Man, producer block, man. Gosh, God, I know we all go through it, man. One of the things, man, that I know I go through is sometimes I feel that I need new sounds. Maybe I need this new sound, or maybe I need this new sound, or this new VST, or maybe this new effect. And sometimes I just kind of get bogged down, like, man, I can't think of nothing. I'm like, I don't want to make I don't want to make this style. I don't want to make no trap. Maybe everybody's not feeling boom bap right now, or I know me, I'm a West Coast cat, you know, living in Oklahoma and Cali, so maybe I want to make some West Coast stuff, but it's like, well, I know ain't nobody feeling that. So sometimes I got to back up, like you said, and kind of take that maybe 2 or 3 week where I just don't make nothing. And I sometimes get in the mode where I just have to go listen to some old stuff because so many people, so many producers nowadays, a lot of the stuff is starting to sound the same. I mean, I think we all can agree to it. And so many people are wanting the same thing. You know, so many people want that same sound. And so sometimes I have to kick back and what I find myself now doing is going to listen to a lot of original soundtracks to movies. One of I've been listening to is and just a lot of old. I've been listening to a lot of overseas international soul music sometimes. I've been listening also to there's a music library called Bruton. I think Burton or Bruton Music Library. They got a lot of weird stuff, but still kind of jazzy stuff. I'll listen to them, man, and it'll kind of push me right back in that mode. And you know, some people say, man, well, man, you need to go pray, and definitely, you know, we're all gonna do that. But like you said, sometimes I just don't feel like making nothing. You know, I get in front of the keyboard, get in front of the pads, and you know, I'm just not feeling it right there. And then, especially with the playoffs on right now, I sure probably ain't feeling nothing right now. Especially, you know,
Yeah,
my Clippers then got smashed out the other day, so I really wasn't trying to make nothing, man. Shoot, you know what I mean? But sometimes, man, just take it back, and I find out guys sometimes just be like, hey, it's gonna kick back, man. I think you're a little too much into that right now. I think you need to be more into me. And so sometimes I have to just kick back and do that. And I find myself going back, making something that's hot that I'm like, man, Lord, I ain't used to making this right here. Where this come from? And so, you know, just kind of that's what usually works for me, man.
I tell you what, you must was in a producer block when you put up that spaceship music. That thing, oh Lord.
yo, that beat was
Bruh.
stupid, man.
This dude flipped the Billy Paul sample, bruh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, bruh. I'm telling you, I was feeling like a groupie. Like I can't even
It's funny too, though. I've been wanting to flip that for like the last 2 months. And I just wasn't feeling it, man. And then that one day, I really just spent some time to chop and block, and it came out to where it came out to, man. So,
brother, woo. All right. Anyway, how you deal with it is how you deal with producing? Well, you've been working at Sweetwater so long. You should, when you come out swinging, you should be.
That's why I ain't released nothing. That's why I ain't released nothing, dog. I'm telling you, bro. The standard is so high right now, and I'm not producing the quality because I haven't produced nothing in, like I said, it's been about 3 years. So, yeah, it's tough. It's a beast. But for me, what I usually do, I can't make beats. Like I try to play keys. I definitely am not a pianist by any means, but if I can't actually make beats, then you know I'll just turn off my computer. That's another dope thing about I'm very much a analog kind of hardware guy. So I'll just turn off my computer and just keep my speakers on, and you know I'll just practice piano for 3 or 4 hours straight, and that usually helps me a lot because then I'll play something, I'm like, ooh, that's tight, and then it'll spark a beat because I'll just sit there and just play, and my finger will do something different that it never did, and I'll hit a chord that I never played, and then that's how a new beat usually ends up. Like one of my favorite tracks that I did was Jason and JR, Parent Me. The piano line, dun, 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 that came from me, a producer's block, and I was just like, I can't make beats. I'm about to just practice piano, and then I found that little riff. I was like, oh, I'm about to turn that into a beat. So, that's usually how it is for me, man. Go ahead.
Let me interject real quick since I got since Nab on here. Nab, don't you know? I introduced the Joker to Israel. I introduced Israel to Jason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jay, he called me and told me, he said, Marv, I need some beats. I said, okay, cool. I said, man, my homeboy he got some fire too. I must was in a producer block because everything I was saying to Jay Son, he was not feeling. But the joker is he had produced a lot. I think how many songs you produced on City Lights? Yeah.
I think it's like 5 or 6. I want
to say it was a lot.
Yeah.
And then you turned around and worked on the other joint too, right? Or was that the same project?
Yeah, no, that's the same project. That's the only album me and Jay Son ever worked on together. Man,
I tell you, man, I must was in a producer block. I'm like, Jay was not feeling nothing that I was sending him, but he was loving everything he is. I had to put that out there since he mentioned JR. I mean, since he mentioned Jay Son, man.
Yeah,
but it was all good. At least one of my comrades was able to get to work.
I appreciate that, man. We actually as soon as this over, man, me and him gonna try to connect. We want to try to recreate that, but I guess long story short, man, a lot of my greatest music comes from producer block, and where I just turn off everything, and I'm just playing piano, like no string patches, no synth patches, no nothing, just piano and just practice. That's usually how I do it.
That's what's up, is.
Okay. What about you, Omar?
Well, for me, I can kind of resonate with Tori and how Iz goes about, like, playing keys before, like, even making a beat. Like, for me, being a drummer, like, sometimes I would just leave the pads and keys, hop on the drums, just go at it and wail on them things for, like, a little bit. At the same time, too, though, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, sometimes we do really need to recognize where our heart is with God, and really kind of take the time to examine ourselves. It's like, is this too much? Like, am I being, kind of like called to do something else here, or like just being called to step away for a little bit and then come back to it? At the same time, too, it's like I try to find inspiration. Like, I think about life. And then I think about, like, other producers, and, like, thank God for, like, the internet, because it's like, ever since I knew about, like, Jay Dilla, I was kind of like, oh my goodness, like, what am I doing? You know what I'm saying? And then I think all of us in some way or fashion are just inspired by music. So as I got into, like, record digging, it's like I'm learning about, and you gotta understand, like, I'm probably the youngest one out of this panel, or out of this, like, group. I was born in '91, so a lot of the music, like, I haven't gotten to like later. So, like, I'm listening, I'm like, Earth, Wind and Fire is dope, like Ramsey Lewis, and like, what? What's up?
That's funny.
No, I'm just saying, like, what? I'm just saying, because, like, when you listen to the music itself, like, the composition, how everything breaks down, it's like, like, it had feeling to it. You know what I'm saying? It had soul and stuff. So it's not only that, but also, as I go about making beats, like, I always try to have an open mind. I already try to take preventive measures not to get into, like, a producer block. So, like, I don't know about you guys, but I actually try to, like, make beats with, like, obscure sound or funny, weird kind of clicky sounds or whatever, and just line them up and go at it from there, And, that's actually, shout out to Tone Jones. That's actually a tip from him when I think he wrote that in, like, a blog or something on his site, that if you're dealing with producer block, well, why don't you try this? Like, get all these sounds that you've never used before and try to make a beat out of that. Because it's like discovering, like, you never know what you might make.
Right.
Yeah.
I got you. What about you, Nap? How you dealing with
it? I mean, I guess I had the same stuff to say as everybody else. I know for me, because I have my own production team, we work in a team, so, like, I might get some drums started and get, like, to the music piece. Hey, ain't nobody tonight got nothing on ears. Like he got $1 million worth of stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, that's true, man.
Yeah, hey, now
No, nobody can compete with Iz, yo.
I mean, no matter what we say, he won the argument.
oh
my
my
nigga got software just sitting on the kitchen table. Like I ain't even
It's
using
like,
it.
yeah,
But
this
my beats ain't no better. My beats are not any better. So,
man, hey, stop it! You made Parent Me, and then they shot
oh
a
my
video
goodness,
to it.
6 years ago. 6 years
Yeah.
Oh man, City Lights was a crazy
And
album,
all,
man.
and all them
No, I
plugins you
think,
got, plugins beats on their own. So
Yeah, I
it's
know.
showing out.
I think real talk for me, like when I'm dealing with producers, because I do feel what Marv's saying, like, because I got an artist that I work with on my own indie label, and I just got through cutting a 7-song EP for her, and it took like 10 months just to get it right. But when you come out of a project like that, like your brain is fried, like you don't, I mean, you don't really have anything left exhausted. So I mean, we started on her record, but we got like a song and maybe a half another song in, and I was like, let's just take a break. Let's just promote the EP and let's do that. But what generally get me back into any kind of swing is it only take like one sound. It could be a sample, it could be a dope kick or whatever, and then I turn on the MPC and just go. Like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times, I go listen. I'm a huge '70s soul fan, so I will go and channel my inner Marvin Gaye or my inner, you know what I'm saying? I love Miles Davis, you know what I'm saying? So I'll go listen to some Miles and just chill out probably for like a week and just listen to some music or sometimes, because you got to have that time where, you reconnect with the Lord, but you got to have that let me just take, it's like we take vacations at work, right? You know what I'm saying? You got to have the same thing with music sometimes. I mean, because sometimes you can work a lot, and like Tori said, like a lot of artists now, they just ain't into certain things, and then a lot of artists want the same stuff, and it's like, I'm not one of them dudes. Like, don't come tell me you want something to sound like somebody else. Like, hey, the reason you come to me or any of y'all is because they like what you do. Like, don't come ask me for, like, let me give me one of them big crit types. Hey, call the dude that made that track for me. I have, at this stage of my production career, I have no problem telling people to go elsewhere. Like, I don't need the credit, I don't need the money, like none of that. Like, I'm just not. I don't want to manufacture something for you that's not going to be authentic to me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I want to create something for you that, beyond just my production team, that's original for you, that don't sound like something else. But I understand it, man. Music is simple. I got a lot of tips from a lot of different cats when I went out to, LA when I was out there. But, at the end of the day, the way I choose to deal with Producer's Block is, when I get back starting to it, like a lot of times it just take one sound, and then that gets, before the week over, I had like 6 tracks made and be like, dang, how'd I just do that? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Nav. Go ahead.
2 tracks that were Producer's Block tracks was Flames Break Bread from Rewind. Like, that was the last song that was the last song that made his album. Like, that song didn't even make
I
it.
love that song. That's still on rotation. That's one of my favorite beats you've ever done, Nab. Like, for real. Like, oh my god, when I hear that, oh man, it's just crazy, man. That's crazy. It actually came out of Producer Block too.
Yeah, he came to me and he was like, man, this album missing something. And I was using the MPC 2000 XL. And so I was like, well, listen to this, see what this do. And as soon as I put it on, he sat and he started nodding his head, but you can tell, like, artists, like, it didn't really resonate. And so, like, I left. I don't even know where I went. I came back 20 minutes later. He had the whole first verse and hook written. I was like, let's just record it and just see what happened. And seeing what happened, it saw it itself on Rewind. So, I mean, another Producer's Block track was True Civilian. Like, that was one of the last tracks that made the Faith record, because he hit me up. He was,
man, that's my favorite Christian hip hop.
That's slap right there, bro. Yeah, that's slap.
I sent him a gang of stuff, and I guess, like Marv experienced with Jason, Truth was like, nah, it's not me. Nah, I mean, everything that I said to him, I'm like, oh, I know he gonna love this. It's just not the direction I'm going. And I'm like, what? I'm like, you crazy. But when I sent Civilian, originally the whole guitar piece was a sample. It was a sample that I found from a Janis Joplin record. And I played it, and then all the drums and all of that stuff, like the kick drum came from the MPC, but all the other drums came from the Roland XV3080. So I put it all together, and I just sent it to him, and he hit me back like literally in milliseconds. I don't even think
that's the best.
Right. I don't even think my email.
Go.
I don't even think I had turned my email off then. He was like, "Bro, that's the one." And I'm like, "All right." So I sent him all the tracked out files, and then they replayed the guitar and all that stuff, and that mug made the record. But when I did hear the Faith record, I was like, man, all them other beats I sent you, them mugs do match with this. You know what I'm saying? Because I hate when artists say that, like, oh, it's not the feel I'm going for. And then when you hear the record, you're like, man, the 2 tracks I sent you sound just like that one.
Yeah.
But artists,
Man,
they like what they
another thing, something else that I think what kind of helped me too is what that is, the drumbroker.com. The dude Frank Dukes, man, with Kingsway Music.
Yeah.
Man, he be mixing some fire 70 sounding instrumentals, dog. And man, I mess around, bruh, and I start fooling with some of them stems, bruh. And and come up with them. I mean, and then that'll spark something too. Using like a loop or whatever, man. I think something, I like if I find like a dope piano loop, I take that mug or try to reflip it, or I might just use the loop and then play everything else around that mug. Sometimes that's the idea for that. That's a way of getting
I think a lot of producers nowadays do that simply because they making construction kits and all that stuff like so available and so easy to use. Like I try not to use every single thing out of them kits though, because you do want to add your own sweetness to it. But a lot of times that mug do spark, like you might hear like a guitar riff and be like, all right, I'm finna get this mug cracking. You know what I'm saying? Or
I interviewed Swoop last year, and we was just talking about production, and I asked him a question about man, what's his take on using construction kits? He said, man, I use the mugs all the time.
Oh, I do too.
Actually, the Yahweh is the King some pieces of a loop. And that joint on that Christian Grey on his album, what's the name of that song? Vanish. That was a joint out of one of them Kingsway out one of Frank Duke kids. And I had been listening to that mug and figuring how to use it. But they had beat me to it, so I just said,
You'll be surprised, bro. Like when I was out in LA, they used the same stuff. Like one of the biggest mainstream hits was made from a construction kit, and don't nobody know it. But if you ever go listen to Rihanna Birthday Cake, I got the same construction kit that No ID used, drum for drum, the kick drum, the bass line.
Even Umbrella as well.
You say what?
Umbrella. If you use Logic at all, that drum loop, boom.
Yeah.
You pull up Logic.
They use all the same stuff we doing, and I know like some people take on it is they don't like to use them because blah blah blah. To me, especially if your workload is heavy and like me having this artist and us turning out stuff for her, like the good thing about a team is like my other 2 partners are super creative, so I can just create my own drum loop and send it to them and they'll just play around it. But even if I send them something with like a kick, snare, and a piano loop from one of them construction kits, they'll create some other stuff around it and we'll come up with something dope. But man, I use between this NPC, Reason, Logic, and construction kits, like I'm using whatever I can get my hands on. Right. I think that's the trade of a producer. Producers use what's available to them, because even if you go back like to all the '80s, like Jam Master Jay and all them, hip hop was a whole bunch of jazz and funk and rock break beats. You know what I'm saying? That they just took and sliced up and made in. They make like the king of rock. Like if you them rock drums on the mug, if you listen to it. So. I mean, we've been the music culture. We've been doing it forever. So I mean, I don't know why dudes have a big problem with it. Like all our favorite hip hop records all come from funk, classical, and because hip hop never really had its sound. It basically took a lot of stuff from other stuff and chopped it all up and made it kind of groovy. You know what I'm saying? And we do this. We do the same thing today. Hats off to the people that make construction kits.
I know.
Let me tell you, man. Over at MVP Loops, for some reason, man, me and one of the co-owners, we just hit it off. I remember what happened. I bought a kit, but I had bought. I mean, it was like the two of the same kids. I called the 1-800 number. He answered the phone, and he switched that mug out. But before you know it, we had sparked this conversation. You know what I'm saying? And I wanted to know, like, man, do a lot of producers use kits and stuff? And man, he was like, oh yeah, man. He said, bro, you'd be surprised. He said a lot of your established producers use them as well. And his reason of saying that was, he said, because everybody's not fortunate to have a team of producers. So having a kit is almost like having a producer in the room with you. They just spark that idea. I mean, they spark an idea. And man, I was so intrigued, and was like an eye opener about that. This is what he said. He said, a lot of people downplay using construction kits. He said, but Night Wonder and DJ Premier sample the same beats. You know how many people have sampled Notorious
right.
by Bob James? I hope I'm pronouncing it right. By the Bob James joint. Actually, Madlib, he getting sued by Bob James for sampling that mug right now. But you know how many producers?
And that's the thing with construction kits, because you have the license, like a lot of construction kits, like, because I even I bought a kit a long time ago from Big Fish Audio, and I wanted to know, I'm like, what can I use out this? They license agreement, like, Israel said, when you read all the license agreements, they tell you what you can do, what you can't do, what you can use it for, what you can't use it for, right? So when I got the lady on the phone, she was like, we send the construction kits, as an example of what people can make with it. She was like, but the kits that they make with it, you can use all the sounds, all the loops. You can even construct the exact same thing that they did and still use it, because that's all No ID did with Rihanna birthday cake. It's the exact same thing as the. I wish I could send it to y'all when we get off the.
That's great.
I'm telling you, when I first heard it, I was like, the problem is I can't use Not Nam sound out that kit now, because they gave it to a superstar artist and she made that mug a hit. But at the same time, like, all of your superstar producers do it. Like, I've seen, clips of the Justice League creating stuff from scratch, but don't think that they create every single thing they do from scratch. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're working for Rick Ross, Kanye West, Jay-Z, all these artists simultaneously, ain't you only 3 or 4 cats? Like, y'all ain't, you know what I'm saying? You gotta speed up that process somehow. So they might even
their drums come from out of Easy Drum.
Yeah.
Track.
Right. So I mean, we all use it. Like, I think a lot of cats rag on it because it's like, oh man, like, you ain't really creating it. Well, when we take samples and chop them up, we didn't create them. We just create the chops. That's what we create. We don't create the sound. We just creating the chops. We just chop it up. Yeah. So I don't at this stage, like, I don't conversations like that. I don't even pay attention. Like, bruh, I'm using what I use.
Yeah, I know. I know on the I think on the Triple E Roz album, he had a couple tracks, and I was like, hold up, is that from the Illmind? I think Cocaine Sense. And I instantly recognized it, and a lot of people didn't know what it was. They was like, man, that track is hot. I was like, yeah, but I know what that's from right there. And so it was one of them deals like, man, I can't even use that now because everybody know what that sound is going to be now. You know what I'm saying? So, everybody uses them, man. I think it's just you have to be smart with using them. Sometimes you can flip them. Sometimes you can just chop things that you may want, and then sometimes if you want to use the whole thing, you can too. You just got to make sure that nobody else been using it too.
Right. That's the issue. Like sampling. It's like when people use dope sample records. If Kanye put it out before you doomed. You know what I'm saying? It's a wrap because you can't.
Real talk, man.
You can't do nothing else with it because Kanye put it out. So now sadly, like, even in Christian hip hop, is getting that way too. Like, if somebody use a construction kit and then it make a Lecrae album and he put it out, it's a rap. Like, you can't use that on no other CHH artist. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's right. But yeah, everybody use it. We all use this stuff, like MPCs, software, all the stuff we use was made to sample. They were made to house sounds. And so take them sounds and you do whatever you want to do with it. Like, I don't care what nobody say. Like, where the camera at? I will use anything I want to use.
That's crazy. I feel you, bro. One more topic before we get up out of here. And I think it's while we on, we might as well discuss it. But uh,
Yes, we all sinners.
yeah, we all sinners saved by grace. Thank you, Jesus.
Mm.
But anyway, I'm just trying to put my thoughts together. Uh, the importance of a producer educating himself versus just being a beat maker. You know, I think that I tell me and Omar, we talk all the time, and I tell him, I said, man, look, our main priority over at morphomobeats.com is to educate people, help, help them to be able to put pictures. I mean, put the face with the music in doing interviews with the producers, but having content on there for people to learn. Um, in my 14 years, well, no, in my 13 years of producing Christian hip hop, uh, I've come to realize that you have a lot of producers that are really not educated about the music business, and there's two things that I think about that I think the reason may be, and I don't want to say, and I talk to all the time. Matter of fact, I was having a long conversation with an artist just Monday morning, but I guess I just have a heart for producers, uh, and there's two conclusions that I come up with. Either maybe that producer, maybe the producer, and I mean I can speak for myself. Not for no, I can't say that because my wife, she went to school for music business, so if she was always telling me the ins and outs of the business. So I can't say I can use myself, but I will say this: the two reasons I think is because I think the producer just want to make music and just let the music speak for itself. I think we all kind of have that thought about things. And then I think I think when it comes to Christian hip hop, we don't really think it as to be uh, important. If I mean, you know, if I can say that, uh, that's what I think. So I think what happens, a lot of business is not. Uh, so what happens? A lot of dudes are not educated on certain things. Um, like I know a lot of producers. I know a lot of producers. I know producers that have worked on big albums, and yet it's still not registered with a writer society. I think that's the first thing, a producer should do. Matter of fact, I've been with ASCAP for so long. When I first started out, when it was like $25, I think it's like $60 now.
Right.
My wife My wife was the first one my wife was the first one I've seen and witnessed to get a royalty check back in 2005. She went to college for music business like in 2003, 2004, and she was smart enough to sign up with ASCAP and register her music, and she was getting some royalty checks from this movie or this TV show all the way over in Francis. Big checks too. So she put me on game from the beginning. But I think as time went on, um, and just trying to understand and being a part of the business, I engaged myself to read, to look up. I ask questions, um, you know. So, and I think that's a lack in Christian hip hop, just far as being businessmen. I think we don't look at the big picture. We don't look at the end game of it. That what, if we stay in it, and we continue to succeed, actually this thing will continue to grow. So I don't know if maybe that's the mentality about the thing sometimes.
I think a lot of what you're saying is true. I don't think for us, like in this chat, or any seasoned producers, that I wouldn't say that we don't care necessarily about the Christian hip. Because here's the thing with Christian hip hop. Christian hip hop doesn't cater to the producer. It's made for record companies. That's why you have even your top producers, they're fighting to get, you know, a $1,000, you know, check from a track. You know what I'm saying? Most labels, the biggest label, is Reach, and then you have Clearsight, which is Flaming Them, and then you got, you know what I'm saying, Full Ride and Thizzle. You know, you got I would call them like the top tier A-list Christian hip hop labels or dudes or however we want to word it. Everybody else after that, yes, you can make money from, but you won't. I mean, they all have smaller budgets. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what Reach pays JR for tracks and all that other stuff, but what I do know is this. I know that most smaller labels don't have budgets to pay producers or the money that producers want, and so what it then becomes is, all right, I can only really pay like $100 or $200 a beat, and a lot of Christian hip hop producers, because they want to get on, they'll take that deal, but at the same time, what you're doing is cheapening your craft. You see what I'm saying? So I think I think for me that's been, it's actually not even a struggle because I'm so far removed from it, but it's one of them talking points that I think the Christian hip hop community from the producer side needs to have with the Christian hip hop community that are label owners. Like, we want to be paid a fair, decent wage for what we do, but it seemed like only the artists benefit. Like you said, like a lot of these cats ain't even registered with ASCAP and all this stuff. They may not even know how royalties work. I mean, no, you know, Marv, me and you got some of the same issues, you know what I'm saying, from, you know, some former friends of ours, but
Israel got some issues too.
Yeah, see, and it's just one of them deals where, like, I used to say hats off to all the dudes that want to sell their beats for $50. Hey, if that's what you want to do, get your bread, whatever. But at the same time, you cheapening your craft. Like, even in the mainstream hip hop industry, like with 50 Cent and them, like, they don't even value the top tier producers. You know what I'm saying? Super producers, but it's somewhere. It's like for every JR, like in our genre, that has won a Grammy, it's a million Grammy Award winning little dudes in mainstream hip hop that you would never hear about. You know, they probably got paid, you know, $3,000 to do a beat for Rick Ross and they won a Grammy, but you'll never hear from them again. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's just this whole thing this issue that I have with cheapening the craft. Like, all this stuff that I bought in my studio, like, this stuff costs mad money. You know what I'm saying? And so you gotta value it. If you don't value it, nobody else will. But I think Christian hip hop is strictly made for labels. Like, it's not producer friendly at all. To me personally, that's my opinion.
Right. So in other words, and let me just add to that, Reflection Music Group, they're one of the top tier.
Yeah.
Actually, Reflection, Doc and them do pay royalties. They do pay royalties, I must say. So what you saying, Nab, is, if you know, Christian hip hop being more of a label kind of setup, so there's only a select few producers that really get their foot in the door.
Well, with certain artists, yeah. I mean, it's like there's only certain artists that's gonna produce for Lecrae. I think that's known. You see what I'm saying? I think it's this certain artists that is going to produce for Flame. You know, there's certain artists that's going to produce for Thizzle. Well, what I like about all three of them, because all three of them are still friends, like, they do look for other opportunities, you know what I'm saying? But at this point with Lecrae, like, he in a whole different stratosphere. Like, so, I mean, he's pretty much off the shelf. But with dudes like Thizzle and Flame, like, they have a niche for going out finding that latest up-and-coming dude, you know what I'm saying? Like, Thizzle found Juice. I don't know if he found Cheese, but he put Cheese on one of his products, and after that, you know what I'm saying, Cheese started getting a lot of work. He did a lot of that with a lot of cats, you know what I'm saying?
I think Cheese started out with Lecrae first. Right,
and so yeah, he did, but you know what I'm saying? It's just those things where, like, they'll take the unknown, you know, or a person that they may be viewed as unknown and get him work to do and put him on, and then, you know what I'm saying? That's where it come from, but yeah, Christian hip hop is label dominated. It's not producer friendly to me. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of artists in it that want to work, but at the same time, I mean, you gotta look at, for seasoned cats, and that's just the same way in mainstream. Seasoned people only want to work with seasoned people. Like, if you at the top, you want to work with people at the top. Like, if you ain't if you ain't gonna see Kanye West come down to work with the local rapper that he hear hot in Chicago unless somebody else vouch for that dude. You see what I'm saying? So that's just the nature of it. Like, and I think his music overall, I won't just limit it to CHH, but I think the producer right now is struggling to reestablish his value and worth to the music industry, because real talk, nothing happens without the producer. Like nothing, like nothing. All this stuff that we talking about, none of it happens without one of us somewhere pushing a button or something like that. But we're valued less. They want to pay us less. Like Pandora just won this big old lawsuit thing that ASCAP was trying to appeal to negotiate they streaming revenue lower than what it already is. And in the third quarter of 2013, they had a 500% increase in revenue sales. Dude, that's oil money. You talking President George Bush and them type of wealth. If your profit is 500%, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just the music industry in and of itself is not producer friendly. So my advice to young dudes is like when I first sat with D on the track, like he came to me about 4 or 5 years ago. It was like, I just want to sit with you and I just want to learn everything you know, right? So I told him, I was like, beyond just being a beat maker, like create a sound, find an artist to produce. Because beats don't sell songs. Songs sell a song. A song you can sell a song to somebody. Labels hear beats all day long, you know what I'm saying? That's why they don't value it, because it's a million of us that sit and do that. But when you hear somebody with a good song, they might be like, yo, that beat cold, and I like the artist. Let's see if we can work with both of them or him or the person that made the track. So it's just different opportunities that come from it. But you know, I think you know what I'm saying. That's one reason why I took the approach that I took. You know what I'm saying, is because after I would probably say the glory days of Christian hip hop between 2000 and probably 4 to 2000 and maybe 10 or 11. You know what I'm saying, at the height of cross movement, Lecrae, and all that other stuff. You know, Christian hip hop kind of, you know, it didn't dip, but it took this little, you know what I'm saying, let's just coast for a minute, you know what I'm saying? And during that period, you know, a lot of producers, myself, JR, you know, Mac the Doulos, Tony Stone, started the church doing that process, you know what I'm saying? A lot of us was just like, okay, now what? You know what I mean? So I told myself that I'm never getting back to that state again, so I'm going to always have an artist to work with, period, you know what I'm saying? So long story short, I started my own indie thing, and
I feel you on that. I feel you on that, Dab. I think, and I understand what you're saying. It is very, I want to say,
cliquish.
Very politic. Yeah, it's very politic. Very cliquish. I just been blessed to be able to work with some nice indie dudes, and you know, I guess I work on albums to kind of just keep me in the mix. You know what I'm saying? And I think, and honestly, I don't even really be trying to shoot for the big stuff. I kind of like the little lane I'm in. But yet and still working with a lot of indie dudes. And I guess maybe the reason I'm like this because in, you know, running the website and stuff, I still feel the importance of producers educating themselves. Because who's to say you don't go on and do, you know, you might want to submit music for TV. You still need to know how to carry it.
And I agree 100% with you. Like, that's why I like working with local indie dudes. You know why? Because they hungry as a mug. Like, some of them will do, I mean, like, they ready to get it in. They want to record a song every single day, 2 or 3 songs if they can.
And they ready to pay.
Exactly. they just more hungry, and I get that with the success that an artist may have comes a point where, you know, certain things will just come easy, so they don't have to work as hard for certain things. But from the producer, like the way the music industry is set up for us, we gonna always have to work hard for every single thing we get. Because I mean, producers, most of them treat producers just like how rappers used to start treating DJs. Like, you know how you had the rapper and the DJ, and now it's just a rapper. You don't need no DJ unless you're doing a live set. And sometimes even with a live set, just put the instrumental on my iPad. I'll just play that and then perform by myself. Producers probably won't get to that extreme, but we starting to get treated like how DJs used to get treated. You know what I'm saying? So they still need us. because we make the music, but at the same time, it's like once you make the music, you provide your service. They don't have to deal with you no more, other than pay you money, and then they go on to the next person. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Well, you know what? Now I say this, bro, and anybody else feel free to chime in. I would say this: the reason that is like that, bro, because there's a community breakage in the community of producers. It's almost like it's almost like I don't want to say I don't want to be all deep like the civil rights movement or something like that. But we don't have a community, man. It's like how back in the days, bro, when they had the the Black Panthers and stuff, and man, when they united, what I'm saying, they was a force to be reckoned with. What I'm saying, they was shutting everything down. But as soon as Huey Newton went off to jail and they started letting all these other dudes in, start to bring in a division, like they was not strength in numbers. Now, I get it now, like the time when you, Jay, Stone, Virgil, True Life, JR, I'm trying to think of other producers, Mac the Dulos,
How about Todd Banks?
Yeah, Todd Banks. Official.
When y'all dudes was out, man, that was almost like this. I don't know because I wasn't in that area, but from the outside looking in, it seemed like there was a standard amongst the producers. There was like this united front, like okay, we all kind of stand. We're gonna all kind of stand on this front line together, and we ain't no one is gonna undercut nobody. We're gonna build like this camaraderie. So when somebody comes to us for beats, they can't go to Todd and say Todd is gonna give them a cheaper beat because Todd and Abden already communicated. Like I say, I don't know if that was the case, but that's how it seemed. Like
I think
you guys was that circle of producers.
I think what mainly, at least for me, I would say the main thing about all of us during that era, because I'm still like me and Mac the Dulos, that's still my homie. Like that's one of my best friends, like on the planet. Like I think it was more organic than it is now, and we all respected each other's crafts, versus now. Like you have dudes that respect dudes just because who they are, but they may not like nothing they ever make. You know what I'm saying? And that's okay. Right. But at the same time, it's like, do you not like him more because you don't like his stuff, or do you not like him as you start playing with all these questions? Do you just not like the person, period, because of their success? Do you don't like them because they beats whack or blah blah blah? So it just don't seem like anything anymore is organic. It's like it's been like almost like a culture shift in terms of like what you place value on. And so for us, like I remember when Mac taught me how to chop samples on the MPC 2000 XL, and I never knew how to do it. Like I would just take a sample and loop it or whatever. He came to our studio, St. Louis, for Thizzle's very first record release, and he came to Soho Studios, and he was like, I was like, man, how you champ all them samples? And he did it so fast. I'm like, run that back. How you do that again? But ever since then, that's how I learned. Like I had my MPC as long as he did and never knew how to do it, and he showed me how to do it. Same thing with Tony Stone. Tony Stone was the first person that I ever met that used software completely for tracks because he never used no MPCs, no nothing. He started off on Ableton Live, and that's what he still used. So, but we talked. You see what I'm saying? Just like me and you talk more like all the time. Like it was organic. It was real relationships because we valued the Christianity in each other more than the talents and the gifts. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's talented. Secular, unsaved people are talented. You know what I'm saying? But nowadays, it's just like, I don't know, I feel like we in some kind of really weird competition with mainstream stuff. It's like, man, our stuff got to be like 10 times better than theirs, and my beats got to be hotter than the next. It's like we playing this messed up game with ourselves. Like, the mainstream world don't care what we doing, you know what I'm saying? And if you listen to a lot of stuff, if you listen to a lot of stuff that they make, that stuff's so simple, you know what I'm saying? When I talked to S1 when I was in LA, I met S1, and this is what S1 said. He said the best way to do anything if you can is in a team. He's specifically talking about the mainstream. He said it's a few dudes in mainstream that can get away with doing stuff by themselves, but he said even your top tier mainstream producers have a team, and he named Dr. Dre, Timbaland, even Kanye West over at Good Music. All of them have teams that are like 10 to 15 producers strong. But over here in CHH, it's just like nobody want to work together. So it's like I don't understand that. But hey, man, I digress.
And man, and man, this is the thing, bro. I don't know. Let me say this, bro. I'm gonna say this. From the time I started, and I've always mentioned this to you guys. Y'all were always like, the guys that I'm at the time I started. So as you guys kind of move on, and I think out of all of them, Jay kind of really stayed close by. I want to say in the Christian hip hop community. I know you started getting into more engineering and working with artists and stuff. I will say this. I think what happened once you guys kind of had your run, for the lack of better words. Once you had your run, you move on to a certain state. Then you got dudes like me, K Drama, Israel, T-Walla. I'm just trying to think. And help me out. Other producers that came around the same time we were in, because it's almost like it came in like this batch, then this batch, then this batch. You know what I'm saying? And now I will be considered an old producer to a lot of these young producers. And sometimes it seems very foreign, bro, because I be trying to bring back that camaraderie that you guys had. Now I try so hard, bro. I'm telling you, my head be spinning. I'm always trying to figure out how can we build this community of producers. That have always, and I know that has one of the reasons that the music is so devalued is because there's a lack of community. And I've talked to a lot of producers and tried to reason with them and be like, hey man, look, if we can just come together as a unit. Now I ain't saying you charge what I charge, but let's have this I don't want the word I'm looking for. Let's have this gauge where you don't go so far under me and I won't go so far under you. Because what happens, the artists, they don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like if they say, well, man, Marv, man, he charge high and he don't lease. Man, I better go holler at this young dude and get this beat for a little or nothing. That's probably even doper than the track that I was considering getting from Marv. So that producer, he may think he's winning, but it's a lose, because now you almost become like this female in the red light district. Start using you. You know what I'm saying?
But that's what I'm saying. Like once you devalue your own self, they're gonna come to you all the time, because it's like, man, I can get the same type of quality for $100. Right. And I think for the So Hot piece, we didn't even have a value. We didn't even know what we would value. Like, because at the time we was working with mostly Cross Movement Records. They pretty much paid us what they thought we was worth, and it was handsome, but we didn't set the price. So we just was like, we was just happy, dude, to make beats for artists that was putting records out. Like, I mean, that was our thrill. It was like, man, like people around the world get to listen to a Truth record or an Ambassador record. I mean, that was what we was in it for. Like, I think now, because of all of that though, and people actually now see that this is a business and you actually can make money from it, all of a sudden now producers want to value themselves and put prices on their tracks, which you should, but the industry ain't moving that way no more. It's like, nah, like, I understand that you think that your track is $1,000, but little Johnny around the corner, he's sitting in front of his computer, I can get 25 beats from him for, $300, you know what I'm saying, for all 25 of them. You know what I'm saying?
But even back to that, I think because, producers, I mean, you got your young producers that want to get on so bad. Once they start lowering the price, that becomes the mentality. Yeah. So what happens? He go tell his homeboy, yeah, Doug, I just sold 20 beats for $10 a piece. So what his next homeboy go do? ego set up, and it just become this thing. And I mean, the
That
artists, they
does.
looking for the better. They looking for the quicker. They looking for the better deal.
What that
You
does
know?
is that makes it hard for Omar, Israel, you, me, and Tori. Like that make it harder for established producers to be able to sell their services. And really the only way any of us really stay eating is because of the clientele of people that we deal with. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
With the new dudes, they don't have a clientele. It's just a beat hustle. Like they gotta hustle as many beats. And I'm not a beat hustler. I'm a song creator. Like there's a difference. You see what I'm saying?
That's
I
like
don't-
beat maker versus producer.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not, dude. Like you ain't gonna never see a website that got like 67 nav tracks on it that I'm trying to sell to nobody because I've always worked organically with people, and with the exception of when I was working with Cross Movement, they were all in Philly, so I had the email stuff. But locally, like here, even the singer that I work with now, everything is. I've always sat in studios with people and worked like to create something. Like now having a team, being able to do it, it's just that's how I always got down. But like for most cats, they just want to make a beat in 10 minutes and then ship it off, and then make another one and then ship it off, and it's just like this. How many can I crank out and how much money can I get back? Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure if these cats really sat down and did basic economics, if you pay yourself an hourly rate and you take like, I don't know, like 2-3 hours to make a beat, you're robbing your own self because you turning around and selling it for $10 and it's costing you way more than that to even produce it. So, but that's basic economics. We talking to a generation of people that just want something fast. A microwave society, like they just want something fast. They're not really thinking about longevity. It's just like that saying on Colors. Like it's like, do we want to walk up there and screw all the cows, or should we, run? You know what I'm saying? It's that whole scenario. Like, I would rather work with one artist and produce 10 albums that go platinum than only produce for one artist and he go 10 times platinum one time. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's just basic economics. I'll spread that 10 million out over 10 artists and get $1 million from each one of them versus do it one time and then that's it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, could I chime in right quick?
Yeah, chime in.
So to go back to the very first thing, I really do think we do have to educate ourselves within the music industry or business, because it's like how else are you gonna navigate through the business? You know what I'm saying? You gotta know your stuff basically.
Mm.
You don't want to make a beat and then not know about the sample police and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta know about your business.
Yeah.
Second thing, going back to what you and Marv were talking about, how like it was a different time then, where you said from 2004 to 2011, like there was a group of you guys that were like really, you guys were like the leaders back in the day and working on crazy albums. And in that case, I think it's also because Christian hip hop, even in that time, it was small. Like it was like I don't know, it's just like a space where there's only a limited a certain amount of artists that were making work, you know what I'm saying? Mm. And it was so small then. It has grown a lot bigger then, but it's still small. So and it was different, technology didn't come to where like, later on we can just email the tracks, and we really did lose the thing of where, all right, let me get this artist in and let's actually create. Now it's like, all right, if you like my sound, I'm gonna send you all these tracks, and then we get to this thing where it's like, yeah, I ain't feeling them or whatever. So there has been a shift between that, and then that's where you kind of get to the point where there really is a difference between a beat maker and a producer. Because if I can be honest, one of the last things you guys just mentioned of you guys making songs as opposed to making beats and like putting out tracks, and like the beat hustle thing. Like that's kind of where I am as opposed to all y'all. Like I've made songs with Jason and all that, Nab, like all you guys have like incredible resumes. Like I'm the lowest guy here on this panel, you know what I'm saying? To me, this is more of a beat hustle because like it's really hard to get in, you know what I'm saying? And then, like Marv said too, there really isn't a kind of like a united front for producers to be like, okay, like it's cool if you want to sell for that price, but you can't go lower than here. And then this kind of leads back to the first producer convo where T Walla was like, we should be able to like formulate and kind of like come together in some way to kind of, you know, be like amongst each other as one, you know, kind of like the, what is it, the One Accord DJs or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it's like everybody wants to do their own thing, and we are unfortunately, you know, not united in that kind of way. You know what I'm saying? So we are kind of seeing a few guys kind of do it, you know, but in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of like, you know, we don't. I really do agree with what Nab said. They don't take. They don't appreciate a lot of what the artist is or what the producer is doing in delivering the quality of music and all that. I mean, the climate has just changed tremendously. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
it'd be nice to have that unity in Producerville. That'd be really dope. Because in that way, it's like we can all make bread off of this, and we can live like somewhat decently and stuff. You know, but.
Yeah, I mean, and so for me, like, and I'm gonna let Tori and Iz get they spills in, but the very first thing when I first started making tracks, the very first thing that I did was I wanted to, because I mean, JR knows this really well, because I'm a real detail process oriented person, and so what I wanted to know is, that's fine if I make the track, and that's fine if I do all that other stuff, and somebody hear it and be like, oh yeah, like that's a big beat, that's a great beat. My question was, how do I get paid off what it is that I create? It may not be $1 million. It could be $200. But what does that process look like? The very first thing that I went and bought was this book right here, and you can see like what this is the fifth edition. I bought this book 15 years ago, and I'm sure they like on edition like I don't know, either 13 or something now. But the crazy part is when I first bought this book, I only read one part of it because I wasn't a songwriter then. I wasn't writing songs. I wasn't working like with artists organically other than Flame and Thiz. I was basically just, like y'all said, I was a beat maker. So I was like, I studied all the stuff that had to do with production, like signing up with ASCAP and all that stuff. I've been an ASCAP member since 2003. You know what I mean? And so to me, it's just one of them deals where like Marv says, like education, it's one thing to want money, but you have to understand how that money is made and how you, like, you know, the biggest thing to understand in producing is understanding licensing, like, because that is licensing and publishing is where money has always been made for the producer. Like producer fees, like even in mainstream, like some people waive like they producer fee just so that they can negotiate a higher royalty percentage and license and sync fees on the opposite side because it's gonna pay them out more. You know what I'm saying? Like I watched a music like history thing about 3 weeks ago on the Neptunes, and I didn't know this. You know, I knew they were some hot producers at the time, but I didn't know anything other than that. At the height of the Neptunes' career, they were getting paid $125K per track. These dudes was producing 3, 4, 5 tracks, whole albums. You know what I'm saying? So you talk about money, like they was smart. Like the average mainstream producer now, I ain't talking about the super producers like Timbaland and all them. Like I'm talking about, you know, like maybe even your Mike Will Made It, like dudes like that. You know, Mike Will Made It is eating because he's producing whole records, just like Manny Fresh did for Cash Money. But outside of them dudes, like your average mainstream producer be lucky, like if he can get anywhere close to like 50 grand for a track. Like, you know, for them that's like nothing. In our genre, as hard as we were fighting for that $1,000 payout, you lucky if a label will pay you $300 for a beat. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like Omar said, like there has to be a union that says, hey, we producers, we work hard. Like we got to set like some kind of bylaw. Like let's not undercut each other. Like, you know, if Iz sell a beat for 500, you know, obviously we all make beats. That we got a starting point. But if he says, I don't sell anything lower than 400. The only way to get record companies to respect our craft is for us to do the same thing that Iz do and say, I'm not selling anything less than $400. You know what I'm saying? I work in corporate America and I work in human resources, and this is how corporate America business works. Like they don't there's a set level to everything. There's a process, procedure, and policy for every single detail. But in music, it's just like Omar said, like we all just, man, we just, everybody working for themselves basically, and that's how they view it. And so I can charge whatever I want, like even if it's $5 a track. Like I saw somebody actually sell their beats for $5, and I was like, I almost wanted to cry. I was like,
I saw a dude doing 99-cent tracks, man.
99 cent.
True.
Why not give it away for free at that point and just do a good service? At least you can write it off for charity. But
right, exactly. It's like, bro, like your laptop costs more than what you selling your beats for. Like,
yeah, I almost want to choke myself, man, when I heard that. It's that bull crap right here, man.
Here's a Tori. What y'all got to say on the subject matter?
Man, you know something, as we're having this conversation, and just seeing how, most of us kind of get undercut by some of the younger producers nowadays, it kind of goes back to what the conversation started about, was the crack software, because now you got that little dude in high school that think he hot, that can play a little 9th grade, a little 10th grader that making beats on his little laptop, and he got his own little SoundCloud, and he's like, hey, I'm in a little youth group too. And so you got that little dude that's actually selling tracks, and and he's got all the time in the world. He doesn't have a wife and children like we do, and got to go to work. So as soon as he get out of school, he going home banging hits out, and he perfecting it. And so we may have the same sounding tracks or even better, but someone is like, well, shoot, little dude over here got this same track and he only sell for $20, because $20 to him, or $30 is like, well, shoot, that's cool. I can give me a nice little Kevin Durant backpack, some cool little KDs on my feet. I'm good now, So it's like you got to run into that now. You know what I mean? So it's one of them things, man, where all of us really gonna have to come together. Like, look, but also too, I look at it too is that I think I think that generation of cookie cutter template beat makers is starting to pass. And when I say cookie cutter template beat makers, that's the ones that strictly do not do anything else but click. Nothing wrong with it, but I think Nav said and Ed said it too, as far as being a song maker, a lot of people can't do that. Like they can't make a song in front of someone when someone is like, hey, I need a sound like this, I need this, can you make something like that? A lot of people can't do that, man. And so what's going to happen is you start seeing the real music songwriters outweighing some of the beat makers that's just posting up beats and just needing a little change in their pocket, man, and kind of get excited when the PayPal come through. But that's where I'm seeing it, man, and I've kind of been seeing it too.
Yeah, doesn't Dr. Dre have like songwriters on his like team too?
Yeah,
he got it.
So it's so funny because I work with one of my favorite friends is a local DJ here from St. Louis, and he's got a friend who used to be a staff producer for Aftermath. And at the time, this was, I don't know, maybe like 7, 8 years ago. At the time when his friend, my DJ's buddy, when his friend was a staff producer at Aftermath, there was a Dr. Dre runs like a well-oiled machine, and so at the time it was like maybe 25 to 30 of them, and their whole entire job was to make, I think he said like 15 beats a month, but his boy just couldn't keep up with the demand because it just was, he said it was just like so, like every single day, like you making a track like every single day of your moment, it just drained him so much, you know what I'm saying? He's a believer. I can understand like that workload. It's just like working on an assembly line, right? You just, hey, turn out a track, and you had to turn in 15 of them, each person, so that's like 15 times 25. I think one of the most successful Aftermath staff producers is probably DJ Khalil. You know what I'm saying? But he's got a lot of freedom to do certain things that other staff producers don't. So
Khalil is dope too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, from a business perspective, like any record label, like I can't see record labels functioning now without the producer piece. But even with you won't function without the producer piece. But the producer piece is almost like, because like what Tori said, fighting against that little dude who just wants some KDs. You know what I'm saying? And it's so many of them that undercut us. it's almost like you got to get creative of how to take back the throne from them. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's real.
And I don't think that's gonna happen solo. Like I think the producer community has to stick together and be like, look, like, and to go back to your point, Marv, too, about education, like beyond y'all just clicking, like y'all need to learn the basics of song structure, like how to craft something for an artist that don't have nothing. Like if an artist come to you and is like, yeah, I rap, and you heard them freestyle and they tight, obviously they need a sound because they don't have anything to rap over. You know what I mean? So you gotta be able to discern that, like, you know, this dude tight, this dude, he's cool, this singer, you know what I'm saying? You gotta have that. That's like I don't think that that's something you can teach per se. I think it can be learned over time, but I think the only way it would be learned over time is if you're around people that are like that all the time. You see what I'm saying? There's so many music schools popping up with like, yeah, we're gonna teach you to make beats. Like, I think that's the stupidest thing. Like nobody taught me how to make a beat. Like, I remember the first time I went to the studio with JR. Like, JR was using the MPC 2000 and a Chord Trinity, I think is what it was. And, you know, I saw him using, I was just like, my mind was on basketball, dog. I was trying to be Chris Paul. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, oh, yeah, like, you know, me and Jay are best friends. I'm like, yeah, dude, that's dope. Like, I got to go play bucket. Like, come on, let's go. You know what I'm saying? I was not even impressed. But the second time I went back with him, I was like, this is pretty cool. So what I did is I just saved money and just bought my own MPC, and I just start practicing myself. You see what I'm saying? And I figured out, like, oh, you know, record, stop, play, hit this pad, then hit this pad, and, you know, all that stuff. I just naturally progressed and got better. I didn't go to school for somebody to, you know, be like, hey, this is a BPM and blah, blah, blah. Like, I read the flipping manual.
Right, you know? Right. I read the manual, man.
Right. Like, that's what a lot of people don't do nowadays. They just want to turn on something to go. Like, they have no clue what time stretching is still. It's like, really?
It's like they don't want to be a student of the game and go back and study like producers and whatnot.
Right. Because what they want is they want that big payout. They want to make some beats and they want to get paid a lot of money. But what happens if Kanye West or The Game or Dr. Dre or, you know, Lupe Fiasco call you the next day after you done just made this 2-second beat and you done sold it to 50 Cent and now you at the top of the charts as a hit-making producer, and then all these phone calls start coming? What happens at that point if you're not willing or even ready or even have the know-how to understand the business or take somebody in the studio and be like, let's just craft something from scratch? That only hit that you made with 50 Cent is probably going to be the only one that you make, so you better enjoy it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That goes back to Marv's point. Like, they don't get it. Like, it's bigger than pressing the buttons. You got to be able to be very well skilled at taking something from start to finish and producing it completely, which don't even stop at the music. Like, that's, you shoot a video to it, you promote it, like, because your name on it. You know what I'm saying? You want to make it the best it can be. But I don't know, man. These young dudes, they just want to hit F5 all the time. You know?
What about you? What's your take on this? Because you actually went to school for that. You went to school for audio engineering, but I know there was some education.
Yeah, that's different than beat making, though. That's different.
I'm, you know, I try to keep my mouth closed when it comes to a lot of stuff, man, because I tend to get myself in more trouble by speaking my mind, so I don't want to say too much. What I will say is that I did go to school for audio engineering. I actually left. I dropped out of college to come work for Sweetwater about 3 years ago. So I had a semester left. I was like on my 3 months left, and I would have been full bachelor's degree college student, but I left. So to that point, I'm just gonna say real quick. I just don't want to get in trouble, man, because there's a lot of young guys who think school is cool, and it is cool. If you want to you know, do a heart surgery, like, I think you should go to school for that. If you want to do like brain transplants, I think you should probably go to school for that. If you want to be a rocket scientist, I think you should probably go to school. Lawyer, I think you should probably go to school. There wasn't anything that I learned in school, and mind you, like I said, I had a semester left, so this isn't me going one semester and they were like, yeah, man, they didn't teach us nothing. I had one semester left, and I would have had a bachelor's degree, and I didn't learn anything in that school that I didn't learn from YouTube or
Wow,
reading in a book.
man.
There isn't anything. I'm trying to tell you, man. There isn't
Saying,
anything that they can teach you. The only dope thing that I got out of it, I did meet some dope people, and I do think the relationship aspect of college is valuable. But I think that's just period. You can meet someone in Starbucks and meet contacts. So I
mm-hmm.
don't really think that that's valuable. That's just what I'm gonna speak on it, and I'll say one last thing on that part. You know all of these Full Sail graduates and all of these Berkeley College graduates. You know where they ended up, right?
Sweetwater.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm being dead serious, man. That's not a bad thing. Sweetwater is an incredible gig. I moved my family from DC to Indiana. It's awesome. But what I am saying is that we hire, man, at a rate unlike any other. It's crazy, and also just the music industry, like Guitar Center, just everyone, and all of these guys, they came out of Full Sail, man. Like, I'm gonna go work for Baseline Studios, or I'm gonna go work for this studios, and no, you're not. You're not.
Wow.
That's just you're not. At the end of the day, no one. There's less respect for people who go to school because at this point in the game, the dudes who run these studios and the dudes who actually making these records, they actually turn their nose up to dudes who graduate school because they're like, it was no school when I came up. Here's a tape, here's a soldering iron. This is engineering. So
Wow.
those dudes who came up on that school of thought, they still own these studios.
Right.
So it's like this little kid gonna come in here because he got a degree, thinking that he gonna teach me something. They you know what? You're gonna go clean toilets. So that's what the way that they look, and that's why they applying at Sweetwater because they're like, yo, now I have this $400 a month student loan that I gotta repay, and no one wants to hire me. And even if they are hiring me, I'm not making enough money to actually pay that student loan back. So I think I'm not saying that not to invest in yourself. I'm a firm believer in that. But that $50,000 that you spent on that piece of paper, you could have spent 20 of that on books and another 30 on equipment, and you would have came out way ahead. Like,
That's real.
You would have came out, man. You be
That's
straight.
real
So
talk.
that's my piece on that. If you want to go to school, that's on you. But I personally advise against it. Again, this is coming from someone who I have a semester left. I'm gonna finish up my degree at Berkeley because it's just foolish for me not to, right? I mean, I still have student loans. I got a semester. I got to just finish that up. But in no way, shape, or form has that really helped my career. And that's maybe I will say this. Maybe if you don't even know what Pro Tools is, you don't know what anything is, and you're just kind of getting into it. I think it's dope for those people because they do kind of run you through the whole, like, what's a cable, what's a balanced signal. But at that point in time, like, I was already working with Cross Movement at that point in time. I've already did Anthem. I already had stuff on Billboard. So the day-to-day, I already kind of knew. So I'm going to school like, yeah, man, we about to work on these SSL consoles. Yeah, awesome, man. And, like, this is a balanced audio cable. Oh, man. Like, yo, I went to the dean, though. I went to the dean like, man, sir, with all due respect, like, this is what I'm doing. I showed him the Anthem record. I showed him the Everyday Process record. I'm like, look, man, I'm already doing this. Can we do some type of acceleration program? He was like, unfortunately, Israel, we can't. So guys who you already got experience, don't think you're going to go into school and they just going to put you in this accelerated program. They're not, because at the end of the day, the longer you stay, the more that you pay and the more they get money. So they're not interested in skipping you ahead, my brother. So this is how they make money. So with that being said, I do think that it's important to educate yourself. But I'll tell you one thing, man. YouTube University is the best, can be one of the best resources for you. And I don't think that you should even consider school or anything else until you first read a book and two, go to YouTube, because a lot of that stuff can be learned there. I didn't even know Marfamo Beats was that's why that's gonna be my homie for life, dog. Like, you put me on, Marv, you know, dog. I'm not gonna say no names, but I was selling beats for like $65, dog. My man Marv put me on. He was like, "Is you can't be selling no beats for no 65,
Right.
dog. You got at least do 200."
Right.
And I was,
Man.
he put
Me and
me on
Mark
the
had them
game,
same
dog.
talks like about a year and a half ago. We was like, because when he put that post out, like, what do y'all think about the guys selling $50 beats? And that's why I said at first I was like, more power to them. If they want to cheat themselves, you know, all fine. But then I got to thinking about it. I'm like, wait a minute, that's foolishness. Like that don't make that. That's ridiculous. Like that's making it harder for me to get the same audience. Like
Absolutely, man. The pie's
it's ridiculous.
it's only so
Hey,
big,
man.
man. My
Go ahead.
my thing on the $50 beats, I honestly could go hours, man. But I don't want to get myself in trouble because I will say this: there's some good guys. There's some guys who actually feed their kids, man. If you got kids or a wife or anyone who depends on you, I can never knock a man for putting food on his table, dog. Like there's some producers who literally, like, yeah, I hate that they kind of bring me down with them and devalue our whole market, but I can only be but so mad because he's providing for his family, and I can't knock that. He could be selling drugs. Like, what would I rather this man do? Sell drugs? Like, I would rather you not. I would rather you sell your beats for more money. But if that's $50 all you can get, whatever. And that's one of the reasons why I'm at Sweetwater. Because me personally, I'm not selling beats for $50. I'm not. And I'm not saying that for a pride thing. I'm saying if I'm going that low, that means we're friends. And if we're friends, I'm doing it for free. I'm doing it for like, I'm not doing that $50 stuff. I'm just worth more than that, or it's free. But that means that I take less projects on. That means that I don't work with as many artists as, say, the next man. And that's why I have a 9 to 5, because I know if this dude hits me up, yo, can you mix this project for X dollars? I'm like, I can't do that. My lights, these lights that you see on right now, they are not going to shut off at all. I can say no to every project that come across my desk, and this light's still going to be on come 12 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. It wasn't always like that. I almost got evicted, dog, because artists didn't pay. Like, from my house, dog, like, for real. So I said, man, dudes don't want to pay. Dudes want to pay, and when they do want to pay, they pay cheap. Only thing I can do is have other sources of income and work with artists who I want to work with. And I have a 9 to 5. I would never thought I'd say this, but 9 to 5 is the best thing to happen to me, because take it or leave it. Selling beats for $400, $500 online. What's that?
Your 9 to 5 is really sweet though. Like how? Look, forget every look.
It's sweet as water.
Forget everything else that everybody just said. I need to know. I would like to apply to Sweetwater. Like,
do they got them stores up in Canada? Do they got one over here in London, Ontario, bro?
I would not be in Fort Wayne, Indiana, my brother, if they did. Anywhere but here. But yeah, man. You're not selling beats for $500 online no more. Like, exclusively, that's gone. I'm sorry. That's like 10 years late. The least beat game is here to stay. That's just the way it is. It's kind of like when dudes, the old engineers, when Pro Tools first came out in the early 90s, they like, we want to still use these reel-to-reel tape. Sure, you can do that, but the fact of the matter is everyone's doing music in computers nowadays. You can make music on tape if you want to, brother. It's gone. That's how it is.
And that's why so many studios like closed or whatever.
Right. Have you ever seen that documentary called The West Coast Theory?
Yeah.
Oh man, bruh. That mug is
looking like a ghost kind of studios.
Yeah, it's the same exact thing you just said. Is when Pro Tools came on the scene, bruh, they took out they shut down all those studios in California.
Of course, but that's what I'm saying, is that I think the same thing is happening. Like when Lease Beats is now taking over, now a lot of producers got to shut down their studio because they can't survive. It's here to stay, so you got to adapt. Either you're gonna sell $50 beats or you're gonna do something else.
Well, let me tell you, I kind of beg to differ on. Let me say this: when you say adapt, I definitely don't agree with adapting to the $50 syndrome. man.
I'm not saying
My
you
wife
should
is
sell
still.
beats for $50. I'm saying you have to get other income means of income other places. That's what I am saying. Sell drum kits,
Right,
start mixing, do something else. I don't think you should sell
right.
beats for 50.
And now I have been doing a lot more of that, like doing a lot more mixing work. People coming from I got a friend of mine that come from San Antonio, and a couple of guys that come from Killeen, come from out of town to record. So you start. I have been having to go into other venues and stuff, and then not only that, uh, I thank the Lord for the people that been rocking with me since day one, man. I'm telling you, bro. Artists, I mean, I appreciate them so much, man. And a lot of dudes I've been producing for over 11, 12 years. Same dudes been rocking with me from my MySpace days. So that's a blessing to just still have dudes that have really been down with you from day one. I'm hoping, man, maybe one day in the future, and something that I it's just like a heart desire for me. Uh, Hopefully we be able to get that camaraderie, that community of producers.
I think it just got to be intentional, man. I think if you get, it's got to be the right people too. Like if you get the right people that's intentional about it, you know what I'm saying? We don't necessarily have to create the whole thing and finish it. Like if you create, I always give people this analogy about like how Martin Luther King them, like what they did with the marches and in Selma and all that stuff. Like they didn't quote unquote necessarily finish what they started because we still doing some of it today. When you look at all these police killings and all that other stuff, you still have people on civil rights, you know what I'm saying, still doing a social piece. But what they did was let God use them as instruments to start the framework of thinking like, hey, when you see injustice, this is what you have to do. So I think from the flip side, like music, like if you get the right people to at least start it and say, hey, like Ed said, like the least beats thing, like that's here to stay. But it's only because things like what we're talking about don't exist. Like if you had people that push back and say, hey, we're not gonna do the least beat thing. Like we're gonna show producers how to get $200 or $300 per beats, but also tap into all their creative elements. You know what I'm saying? Like even for me, like I never thought I would have picked up a camera and start doing photography, but I do that. You know what I'm saying? I take pictures of my kids, myself. I'm doing a maternity shoot for my homegirl this upcoming weekend. Like, you know what I'm saying? All of that is a different gift other than music that I have, but I use that revenue to give back to the music piece because that's ultimately what I love doing. You know what I'm saying? Pictures is something I know how to do, but music is what I love to do. So until you get the right group of dudes together to say, you know what, let's stand together and stand for something. Like it may not, like he said, the least beats thing is here to stay. Like that day when you could sell a beat for $500, like that's gone unless you working with an artist who has a budget whose label can pay $500 a track, and that's not many of them.
That's few and far between.
Right.
There's only but so many pretty girls in the high school, dog. Like,
But
at least in the CHH world, like the last time I got $500 for any track I made was when I was working with Cross Movement.
Movement, same here.
Everything else that I did, everything else that I've done, have done outside of Cross Movement, I've never gotten paid anywhere close to what they paid. So,
well, I got a $500 check from Kent Jones. So.
Well, but look at Canton Jones though. It's different from that. Ain't like working with like Bumps or somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like at the time, Canton had. Look at what his following was. Look what he had. You know what I'm saying? Look who he was banging with. Creflo Dollar and all of them people. Like, so his from a visible perspective, he was a lot bigger than just about because every Christian hip hop record artist wanted to work with Ken Jones. They wouldn't admit it, but deep down they did want to work with him. So, but I ain't saying no names, but I had somebody tell me that. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, but it's just one of them deals where like until dudes, mainly producers, I'm not speaking for record companies, even though I'm a indie label owner, I'm a producer at heart, so I'm always going to champion for the producer. But until producers start saying, you know what, my value, and as long as I've been doing this with the accolades that I've received, the community of music professionals have told me that I'm worth this because of these. You know, Grammy nominated, Dove Award nominated, Stellar Award winning, like all this stuff, well respected in the genre and all that stuff. All of that stuff places a value on what you do. Unfortunately for us as producers, we allow record labels to dictate to us what that value is, versus saying, you know what, when you go in the store and you buy a Snicker, you know how much that mug costs. You know what I'm saying? They already done told you, like, you finna pay $1.29 for the king size one and 99 cents for the regular size. You ain't negotiating that, period. And you gonna pay it because you want that craving to satisfy your tail. You know what I'm saying? It's
And
the
that
same.
should be the mentality. That should be the mentality for a producer.
Exactly. I was going to say that's for, if you call Kanye West today and be like, Kanye, I don't know you, but I know you make fire tracks. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to work with you. Like, give me a price range or whatever it is you charge for tracks. He gonna give you a price, and at that point, you got a decision to make. You either gonna pay it or you ain't. You ain't gonna be like, well, let's negotiate. Like, I can't really afford 30 grand, but what about 6 grand? He gonna be like, yeah, holla back, but I got a little dude around the corner that probably could do that for you. You know what I'm saying? He might not work with you, but he'll, you know what I'm saying? That's how the producer, at least definitely in CHH, you know, if somebody hit me up and be like, yo, Nab, you know, I only got like $100 or $200. I love you to death, brother, but I know 50 million little dudes that love getting that $200 from you. But for my services, I'm probably a little bit out of your budget range, but I can refer you to the next thing that's probably in your budget range. That's generally how I always say it now, because it's like, I don't need the headache, the time, the credit, or none of that stuff. Like, I'm not finna waste my time for something that's not finna yield me any results in return. You see what I'm saying? So you know what I mean? You just don't want to waste time. I don't want to waste nobody else's time. So I don't want my own time to be wasted either. You know what I mean?
Right.
Cool, man. Hey, well, Marv, I gotta actually head on out of here, bro. I don't know how much is going.
Oh no. Well, actually, I was about to close it up, bro.
Oh, okay,
I was about to close it up. I just want to say, it's been a good Google chat, man. Especially to say this is the one. I mean, the first one back. For those that are watching, we apologize for the delay. I just want to send a shout out. I didn't realize that when we linked this up, it went live on my YouTube. I just want to send a shout out to my homeboy Daniel Steele. He's a producer for Humble Beast. Actually, he's a dope producer, and he will be a part of the next producer convo. And this producer named Marcus Sheffield from out of Detroit. I guess if I would have announced it on YouTube, we'd have had more people commenting there. But Omar, make sure we make a note of that for next time, that we can get people to comment on the YouTube channel, and they can, because I want to make it to where they can ask questions or anything that we're discussing. But I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. Nab, Tori, Omar, it's been a blessing, y'all. I love you guys. Real quick, for those that are watching, and for you guys too, I recommend that y'all go pick up this book called The Beat Game. I've been promoting it on the website. I told Iz about it. It's like a Bible for producers. A dude named Daryl Branch. He's an industry cat. And actually, I reached out to him and did an interview with him, man, just for the knowledge that he had. But it's a very good book. I got that mug on my note on my phone. Now I just I pull it out and read, man. I'm talking about anything that you can think of for a producer standpoint. I think it's a real dope read to pick up. And starting on June the 15th, we'll be doing this thing called the Don't Sleep series, where we're going to pick 5 producers, and where we're going to recognize 5 producers that are being slept on. You know what I'm saying? And really dope. I was telling Tori Hooks, he actually inspired me with the idea when I heard the joint he did. So that's where that idea come from, man. So be on the lookout for that June the 15th. And that's it, man. I thank you guys for hanging in there with me. I know it's 1 o'clock some places. It's midnight here. But I love you guys, and it's always a pleasure talking to you guys. I think Nab is y'all have been in. But Nab, I think you've been in 2-3 of these producer convos. So it's always good to have your opposition come in.
I'm mad. Like I don't mind. Like this is what people. What a camera at. Like this is what people need to know. Like real talk, and my dudes know this. Like I'm gonna tell you the raw. Like I'm not a faker. Like I'm not gonna tell you like this is what you should do, and I think for a fact you shouldn't do it. Like I'm gonna just tell you no, you shouldn't do that, and I'm gonna tell you why, and I'm gonna give you my experience and tell you why you shouldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? But it's one of them deals, man, where like I'm totally open book. I'm honest. Like I can tell cats my experiences, like with no shame. Like it's some stuff that I wish I would have did differently. It just didn't happen like that. But you know, I've learned in this game. You know, I'm 36 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like I learned in this game that when you're dealing with business, you have to treat it as such. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a time to do the friend thing, and then there's a time to talk business. And when you have to be comfortable with that. If you're not comfortable with that, then not just music, but no business is probably your business. You know what I'm saying? You have to be comfortable with that. Like some people got agendas and some people don't. But at the end of the day, you know, we can work, but let's square the business part away first so that we can work as friends going forward. If you're not willing to do that, or if you can't do that, or for some people that's too tough, this probably ain't the game for you, because music is cutthroat. Like it just is. We didn't make it that way. You know, all our predecessors before us, like from the early 90s, early 2000s, 80s, and all that, like they went through the same stuff. Like you can watch YouTube and hear a million KRS-One, you know, instances where, you know, stuff that happened back in the 80s. But, you know, if you don't have tough skin, man, this is not the thing to try to do. You know what I mean? Like, because music is one of the things where it can get to you. You know, after one of my debacles a couple years ago, I almost called it quits. I called one of my homies, Future, actually. You know what I'm saying? I called my homeboy Future and was like, it's a wrap, dog. I don't have time to deal with foolishness. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, he encouraged me. He was like, nah, man, don't stop. Keep going. And, you know, so this is one of them things, like, if you don't got tough skin, man, it's not for you. And I'm talking to every single person that's going to watch this mug or that's watching it. If your skin is not tough, this is not the industry for you. I don't care how talented you are. This mug is cutthroat. Like, it is. So.
Right. Well, I definitely appreciate that, man. You know, I appreciate, you know, just the transparency from all of us. I'm going to let you guys go, man. I love you, brothers. Keep making good music.
Hey, Marv, could I chime in and say something right quick?
Hurry up, man, because he looking sleepy over there.
I'm sleepy too. But
I got about 2 hours left. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All I was really about to say right now, for those of you watching, or even Nab, Tori, and is if you would want to participate on more of these topics, like feel free to comment into the forum spot on markformorebeats.com. That's all I wanted to say.
Oh, appreciate that. All right, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, bro. Let's bring that community back, bro. I know Facebook ain't nothing but a big old forum spot, bro. But the reason we did that is to give it our own community. So I would love for my black brothers and my Hispanic brother. Well, Omar always he's in there, but the rest of you brothers, man, chime in. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, just talk about stuff. But anyway, it's markformorebeats.com. I appreciate you guys. I love you all. And until next time, we'll see you.
All right, bro. Take it easy.
Peace. So.
Peace.